Philadelphia, a Beasley Media Group station, live from the Comcast Business Studios. 97.5, The Fanatic. John Kincade, Andrew Salciunas. This is Kincade and Salciunas. 97.5, The Fanatic, and 97.5thefanatic.com.
All right, I need the Phillies to answer this question for me. Are you ready to be serious again? We start there. And then, of course, the Eagles. I want to ask a question about the Eagles. What will we look back on that we made too much of or not enough of? I'll explain more, but we start the Phillies on Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
This is Kincade and Salciunas.
I believe it would be a failure for the Philadelphia Eagles, the 2024 Philadelphia Eagles, if they do not win the NFC East. The Eagles have had a quiet training camp.
And to me, I look at it and say, it's wonderful to have peace and serenity out in South Philly.
Kincade and Salciunas. John Kincade, Andrew Salciunas.
97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
And a good Thursday morning, Philadelphia. The only reason why I'm here today is a Wendy's Breakfast Burrito Thursday, and I can't wait to give you guys $50 Wendy's gift cards all day long. That's the only reason why I really want to be here today. I like to hang out with Connor. I like to hang out with Brendan and Brendan Petrilli and Haley. I like to hang out with all you guys. And I like to talk to our friends who listen to the show on a daily basis. But, honestly, I wish I was with John Kincade. And that's saying something. I wish I was hanging out with John Kincade on the beach somewhere and not having to come in here the day after Taijuan Walker pitched yet again for the Philadelphia Phillies. I wish I didn't have to come in here today and not show up. Just like the Phillies didn't show up yesterday. But you know what? I can't blame the order. I can't. You know why I can't blame the order? And I had a couple people tweeting at me, oh, is it really just Walker to blame today? The Phillies have been no hit through 7 innings. You know why? Because they woke up that morning and were supposed to lie to themselves when they looked in the mirror, brushing their teeth, saying, hey, I'm going to play hard today because we have a chance to win. Seriously. I understand after the game, Rob Thompson finally came to terms with realizing maybe Taijuan Walker just ain't it. It took you a while. But it seems like he finally came to terms by saying, we need to figure that part out of the rotation. We need to figure that out. Which part was it, though? Was it hit number 1, 2, 3, or 13 yesterday? Was it the 6 earned runs in this game or the 6 earned runs in the previous start that he gave up against the Royals? I was ready to move on from the 3 earned runs in the start before that against the Nationals. It is embarrassing putting this guy out there at this point. It's embarrassing for the organization. It's horrible for fans that attend. You know what? It's horrible for Taijuan Walker. That guy looked freaking miserable on the mound yesterday, and I can't blame him. Part of me, God forbid, I do have a soul, felt bad for Taijuan Walker. A guy that worked his ass off to get to the major leagues, put together a pretty decent career, and he is realizing in front of him that he is done. And he goes out there and continues to pitch. I kind of respect the guy because he realized what his role was at that point. It was to eat a couple more innings so that the bullpen can be a little more fresh for this big series against the Braves. Part of me feels bad for Taijuan Walker. Part of me respects Taijuan Walker. But what I don't respect is the Phillies organization not being serious. Because there was not a single person in the city of Philadelphia. Think about this for a second. We talk sports on a daily basis. And I don't think we've ever had a topic where we have had 100% agreement on. Whether it's on a show, whether it's with a caller or two, a tweeter, a texter, an emailer, you name it. We have never had a poll or anything that's come out 100%. I would like to believe that there was not a single person in Philadelphia that was pining for Taijuan Walker to get another start yesterday. Everybody in the city was against it, except the Phillies organization. Whether it was being encouraged by a velocity increase that was non-existent, whether it was the contract being the reason why he had to start, or whether they believed veteran leadership was a good enough reason to go out there and waste 9 innings. It was a waste. It got to the point yesterday where I said this on social media, and I think other people were in agreement with me, that you should have pulled Bryce Harper and Kyle Schwarber and Nick Castellanos and Trey Turner. Once Taijuan Walker was sent back out there for the 5th inning yesterday after imploding in the 4th, which was longer than I thought it would take, actually. I thought the implosion would happen in the 1st or 2nd. The fact that you sent him back out there told me that you were not being serious. So every guy in the starting lineup that matters should have been taken out of that game. You should have unloaded the bench. Weston Wilson should have gone back out there. Edmundo Sosa should have gone back out there. Everybody that matters to you should have been pulled. Didn't do it. It tells me that you were unserious yesterday. Don't waste my time. This team has World Series expectations. Does the game on August 28th matter in the long run? No, it doesn't. But it's time to be freaking serious. I don't want to watch another baseball game where I have to put on the game knowing they're going to lose. I'm sorry, Connor. Good morning.
Good morning. You seem like you're in a wonderful mood.
I knocked something off.
Yeah, there's a keyboard down on the ground. That's okay. It's not the worst thing that's happened.
I broke the computer already.
It's okay. You're still having a better day than Taijuan Walker.
Dude, I'm honest. I felt bad for the guy, and I kind of respected him at the same time yesterday. As much as I don't want to see him pitch in a Phillies uniform ever again, I kind of respected the guy because he goes, yeah, I suck, but let me try to save the bullpen. Like,
I mean, he wore
borderline good teammate.
I guess, but like, does a good teammate keep you on this team? We talk about Garrett Stubbs and the vibes and everything. We talk about Brandon Marsh and what he does with the daycare. Bottom line is this, right? And I'm very much in lockstep with you today with the Taijuan Walker thing. The Phillies have lost, of Taijuan Walker's last 9 starts, all 9 of them.
Yeah.
They are 0-9 the last 9 times that guy takes them out.
And you know why? Because he's either putting them in a horrible position. Of those 9 starts, he's allowed 6 earned runs in 2 of them, 5 in 1 of them, 4 in 2 of them, 3 in 3 of them, and 2 in just 1 of them. That was his best outing where he went 5 2/3 against his old team against the Mets, where he only allowed 2 earned runs. Everything else was 5 runs, 4 runs, 6 runs, and the ones where he only gave up 3, he only pitched 4 innings. So not only are you putting him in a bad spot, the Phillies, you're now putting the bullpen in a bad spot because they got to go 5 innings every time he goes out there. And at the point now, the lineup is going out there going, all right, we better score runs early or we're done. And when Taijuan Walker goes out there and implodes in the 4th inning, I get it. The Phillies offense had not even gotten a single hit up until that point. It's kind of hard going into your job knowing that, let's say, go back to your old days. You were a Chick-fil-A member?
I was.
Like I was.
My pleasure.
Right? If you looked at the schedule and there was a certain manager that you just didn't like that was on the schedule that day, you went into Chick-fil-A with your head down.
Yeah, bro. Those chicken sandwiches, they're not getting slung the same way.
That's like human element. Like, there were people that were questioning my tweet yesterday saying, oh, well, then that's a worse problem if the Phillies have that mindset. Like, seriously, imagine going into work every day hating your boss. You're probably not happy. Now, imagine once every 5th day, you know that you're going to lose. Of course you're not going to have your best effort or feel mostly confident. Like, there was an inning yesterday. I think it was the 5th. I think it was after the implosion where they got out in 7 pitches. They just wanted to get out of there. The players did. Not the umpires. Not the fans. The players did. After the implosion, Aaron Getty throws a 7-pitch inning because they just wanted to get out of there. It's embarrassing. It's not serious.
I mean, there's no other way to put it. This guy's a non-competitive pitcher. He is not a major league caliber arm right now. There's no way you can even consider starting him again at this level, at any level. I mean, honestly, like, eat the contract. I do not care. I don't care what you owe him. I don't care what you think he can give you. Whatever you think Taijuan Walker can give you, you're incorrect. Eat the contract, move on, find somebody else to make those starts. You are getting absolutely nothing from him, and it's time to cut bait. You cut bait from Whit Merrifield, who's batting like 800 with the Atlanta Braves right now.
Right.
Because you didn't believe he was going to come out of it. But Taijuan Walker, all of a sudden, is this guy that's untouchable that has to make his next start because, he could eat innings. Oh, we were encouraged by the velocity. I'm as positive on the Phillies as it gets. There's not a person in this space that will talk more positively about the Philadelphia Phillies than yours truly. And I'm telling you right now that Taijuan Walker cannot be a part of this baseball team anymore. And it's nothing personal because you're absolutely right.
I kind of respected him for yesterday.
What he did yesterday was admirable, saying, hey, I want the 5th. I want the 6th. Hell, I could throw the 7th. I want to go back out there. I want to save the bullpen. I want to save arm.
He knows his role.
That's admirable. But guess what? I could be admirable. You could be admirable. Brandon Gunn, who's on the board today, could be admirable. It doesn't mean we're going to get major league hitters out. He can't. He won't. I'm done with Taijuan Walker as part of this baseball team.
I mean, I don't see how anybody, again, could say the opposite. I mean, there's no reason he should pitch again the rest of the season. And look, if you're telling me you keep him on the roster because of veteran leadership or just a voice in the locker room, dude, you can take him off the 53-man or I'm thinking football. You can take him off the 25-man roster.
If you had 53, he'd probably be off of it.
You could do the Rhys Hoskins treatment. Rhys Hoskins wasn't playing last year. They kept him around, right? Like you could do that with Taijuan Walker. Keeping him on the 25-man roster at this point is James Bradberry, right? Like think about this for a second. James Bradberry made the team. Guy doesn't play special teams. So there's one reason why he shouldn't be on the team. He can't play his natural position anymore. They're going to try to move him to safety, and he didn't look good at it. They're basically keeping him around as a veteran presence, which in football, okay, 53 guys. We know that football is a different beast. Like impassionate speeches actually means something in football, where in baseball you kind of roll your eyes at the manager if they're doing an impassionate speech, right? Football's a little bit different. And having guys like that is important. But that's 53 guys. He doesn't have to play a snap, and he could still make somewhat of an impact. Taijuan Walker, you keep him on the team. There's no upside for it. There's nothing to it. You're taking away a roster spot, and I'm not saying guys like Michael Mercado should keep it. That guy stinks too. But there are other options that you can trot out there every 5th day that at least give you a competitive edge. I'd rather go bullpen game. Those things don't normally work out for the Phillies. They really don't. But at that point, if I'm not down 3, 4, 5 runs come the 3rd, 4th, or 5th inning, then I'm in a better spot already. I know, not for a fact, but from a human element, going through baseball at many different levels myself, you included, Connor, when you see a certain guy on the field, you just shake your head. And it's at the point where I imagine the guys in that starting lineup yesterday were like, all right, here we go. Like Bryce Harper. It was inexcusable how the Astros scored their first run. That wasn't on Taijuan Walker.
No, it's on
That
Bryce.
was on Bryce Harper not having his head in the freaking game. But then again, can I blame totally Bryce Harper not having his head in the game when Taijuan Walker's on the mound and there's 1st and 3rd already in the 1st inning? And you're going, here we go again. We're all thinking the same thing. None of us thought that they were going to score the run because Jose Altuve stole home because Bryce Harper was just lazy. Nobody thought that. But we all thought that when it was 1st and 3rd, they were going to score a run. And I imagine the 8 guys on the field, hell, Taijuan Walker himself probably thought it.
And this isn't like we had a conversation before we came on the air about the Chicago White Sox and the way that they're playing baseball right now. And they're on pace to set the all-time record for most losses in Major League history. This is not the Chicago White Sox.
No.
This is a team that came into yesterday tied for the best record in baseball. You said the word embarrassing a couple times. I'll echo that. It's embarrassing that a team with that type of pedigree, with that type of goal of being the best team in baseball, of winning a World Series, would trot out a guy that you have lost with 9 straight times. There's no way that they can put him back on the mound.
No,
There's just not.
They can't. Like, you can't tell that. Like, I don't want to say forget the fans for a second, but, like, forget the fans. Forget you and I. Forget Brendan. Forget everybody that's listening, unless it's one of the Phillies players. If you're Rob Thompson or if you're Dave Dombrowski, if you're John Middleton, there is no way that you can walk in to the clubhouse 3 days from now and say, Taijuan, you got the ball tomorrow. Like, you can't say that anymore. Like, again, forget the fans who will boo the decision and call in and scream and respond on Twitter and say, I'm not watching. You can't say that to the players at this point because it just tells them that you're not being serious for a day. And if it's April, if it's May, fine. We're in August. The Phillies are going to win the division. They're going to be fine. But, man, they only got, 30 games left in the regular season? It's time to start putting on a serious attitude because the playoffs are right around the corner. Taijuan Walker was not going to pitch in the playoffs. I get it. For anybody that thinks we're making too much of a deal about this, I get that he's not going to pitch in the playoffs, even if he was pitching the way he did last year. He didn't get in the playoff game last year. I just can't, with 30 games left, take an unserious approach at this point. And that's what they did yesterday.
No, you don't have time to. Honestly, I'm patient with this team, and I think they're going to win the division, and you could lose every fifth game. You could win 4, lose 1 the rest of the season, and you'll probably be the top record in baseball and the top seed in the National League. But you cannot just put out an automatic loss every game in a race for a division and a race for a top seed in the postseason in your league. It's negligent. You're better than that. And the fan base deserves better than we talk about all the time. We complain about load management in the NBA. Showing up to games, paying your hard-earned money, and going there and saying, Embiid's not playing. Oh, Maxi's sitting. Oh, whoever's not playing this game. And it's a waste of your time, and it's unfair to the people paying their good, cold American cash to go to those games.
Yep.
You know what? It's the same freaking thing when you put a guy on the mound who has lost the last 8 times out and lost the 9th yesterday. It's disrespectful to the fan base.
Yeah, I mean, it's disrespectful to everybody involved. Hell, at one point, it was disrespectful to Taijuan Walker yesterday. All right, we open the text line and the phone line for your opportunity to voice your frustration. I sound beat up today because I am. It's not like after the game, Rob Thompson said, hey, I was encouraged by some things. He'll be back out there next week. It looks like they're going to move on if his answer was the way that it was, where he said, we're going to have to talk about this. He realizes that it's done, okay? So I'm not as much piss and vinegar today. I'm more disappointed, right? It's like the old dad thing. I'm not mad. I'm disappointed. Even though I am kind of angry that the Phillies really thought that they would trot him out there yesterday and have a serious performance, and you weren't. You were not serious yesterday, and you wasted my time. 610-632-0975 is the number you can text in and call in and voice your frustration. Now, on a brighter note, the Eagles. Just because anything at this point when it comes to the Eagles is a brighter note than what we saw yesterday with the Phillies. I have a conversational question today that will take some thinking. And it's something that we'll do as the show goes on. And it's something that we'll dive deeper coming up in the next segment. But I want to ask you this question. When we look back at this training camp, this offseason, this preseason, all the things that we've talked about, think about it. Jalen Hurts, Nick Sirianni beef, right? Linebacker questions.
Yeah.
My biggest thing, pass rush. The excitement that we have for the offense, right? There's good, there's bad, there's questioning, there's concerning, there's over-the-top negative, and there might be over-the-top positive. What are some things that midway through the season or toward the tail end of the season or at the end of the regular season or next offseason, what are some things that we will look back on that we made too much of or maybe not enough of? Because I think there are some things that we are ignoring. I've been talking about the pass rush for a while now, and I don't know if many Eagles fans are ready to have that conversation yet because it's one of the only areas where I'm legitimately concerned about when it comes to a team that we have a 12-win expectation for. I think people are like, oh, so what? They're going to win 12 games anyway. Right? It's kind of like the Phillies thing. Oh, so what if Taijuan Walker pitches? They're in the playoffs. They're going to make the playoffs. They're going to win the division. I wonder if there are people that are in that attitude right now because they haven't seen it affect the Eagles yet. But then there's also positive things, right? We may not be – I said this to you guys a couple weeks ago. I don't know if we've talked enough about Saquon Barkley because we haven't seen it yet. Like, I think Saquon Barkley has actually gone under the radar because there's already so much on the offense with A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Dallas Goedert. We're so excited for Kellen Moore and what he can do for Jalen Hurts. I actually feel like we haven't talked enough about one of the biggest offseason additions in the NFL. So I want you to think about this during the break. And, Brendan, I want you to give an answer as well. And I want to hear from you on the text line and the phone line at 610-632-0975, on the side of the Taiwan Walker discussion. What are some things that we are going to look back on that we made too much of or not enough of when it comes to the Philadelphia Eagles and the upcoming 2024 regular season that starts in 8 days? We're 1 week away from the start of the NFL, man.
God, it can't come quick enough.
Yeah, seriously. It is Kincade Salciunas. Connor is in for John this week on this Wendy's Thursday morning. Andrew DeCecco will join us at 8:10. Hopefully Kevin Nagandi at 9 o'clock. A lot in store for you on this beautiful Thursday morning right here, 97.5 The Fanatic.
White water heaters. Bradford White. They're here for the pro.
It is 6:28 on Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. Connor in for John the rest of this week, and also on Labor Day Monday. John will be back on Tuesday. It is a Wendy's Breakfast Burrito Thursday, which means once an hour today, we will give away a $50 Wendy's gift card. I'll let you know when you can call the contest line, but make sure you're listening because every single hour, $50 to Wendy's. That gets you a long way, man, especially when it comes to the breakfast burritos. That's the only thing that brought me into work today.
Well, yeah, it's also a whole lot of Frosties.
Yes, a lot of Frosties, a lot of French fries.
To dip in them.
A lot of burger. I love the burger.
Are you a dip the fry in the Frosty guy?
No.
Uh-huh.
I tried it. I'm not against it. It's just...
It's very good.
It's not my cup of tea.
Bad take by you.
It's
not even tea.
I'm not saying it's bad. A bad take would be it's disgusting. It's not disgusting. It's just not my cup of tea.
Okay, you hate Frosties.
That's all.
That's cool.
Okay, yeah, sure. Yeah, that's what you're saying. All right, before we get to the text line, because we have some texts that I can't believe they're coming in, but I shouldn't be shocked because, again, if I said the sky's blue, 1 million people would say yes, and then there would be one person that'd say, no, it's pink. So... that's the world that we're living in, so be it. I think, honestly, part of it's just people feel bad for Taiwan Walker at this point, but we'll get to that.
Do you think people actually feel bad for Taiwan Walker?
I did. I don't know if other people did. I mean, I'm sure there are a lot of people that go, I have 18 million reasons why I'm not feeling bad for him. But, dude, part of the human element is when that inning's imploding and he's just kind of looking around and he's getting booed at by the fans and he knows he's cooked. There was a photo yesterday. I forget who tweeted it out, but I saw it on social media that when they put up on the big screen the pitch and the velocity. Did you see this photo?
No.
He threw a pitch that was 86 miles per hour, and the pitch they literally put unknown. They didn't know if it was a fastball, a two-seamer, or a split, or his changeup. They didn't know. Like the person that's calling the pitches. The guy that sits behind home plate with the little walkie-talkie did not know what pitch it was. And I don't know, that might happen more often than we think. But when a guy's throwing basically the same velocity with all three of his pitches and the fastball kind of dips because of just this thing called gravity these days, like that's bad, man. But we'll get into that in a few minutes. But I want to dive deeper into this. And this is another conversational piece for you guys today that you can chime in on at 610-632-0975. Thinking about it right now, what do you believe we will look back on? Out of all the storylines that we've talked about, right? We talk Eagles every single day on the show. And so every single day we have a new spin, a new topic, a new something. Even if you think you've heard something one way, we've then talked about it in 4 or 5 different ways, like the Jalen Hurts, Nick Sirianni disconnect. What is something that we're going to look back on and we're going to say we either made too much of that or we didn't make enough of it? Now, speaking of the Sirianni and Hurts beef, I believe we made the correct amount of attention toward it. But I know that if the Eagles have a great season this year, which I expect them to, there will be fans that say, wow, you guys spent so much time talking about Hurts and Sirianni and their bad relationship. It was reported on that it was a bad relationship, and it got to the point where they had to work on said relationship. But if I'm looking into the future, I believe that we will get calls or tweets or something where people are going to go, oh, wow, you guys made so much of that. Hell, that video of them going on the golf cart with each other like a couple of weeks ago with Big Dom, people were trying to say, oh, you guys think there's a bad relationship? Yeah, I've seen acting before. I've seen setups before. Like, I don't think they have a great relationship. That also came out the day before the Tim McManus article came out. Spoiler, there are journalists that sometimes give people a heads up. Hey, this story's coming out about you tomorrow. Just wanted to give you a heads up. Like, it's a respect thing. Hey, I got to do my job, but I respectfully also want to let you know that this is coming out. So I wouldn't be surprised if the two of them kind of staged that because they knew that the article was going to drop the next day. But I know there will be people that will say, wow, you guys made so much of something that ultimately didn't matter. What is something that you believe we will look back on, Connor, that we made too much of or not enough of? I believe the pass rush will be something that a lot of Eagles fans will not have made enough of at some point.
Yeah, you know what? I really think, like, my gut feeling, the first place I go is something we didn't make enough of.
Okay.
The change at center with Jason Kelce. Like, I know John's argument that he makes every time we have this. John Kincade, who normally sits in this chair, makes the argument, how many centers can you name in the NFL?
Right.
And they're not like premier level star players and all this. It's a valid argument. It is. But at the end of the day, I can't imagine that you're looking at an all-pro, all-time Eagle, first ballot Hall of Fame lock player in Jason Kelce retiring. And even if he handpicked Cam Jurgens, I can't imagine it's as seamless of a transition as I think we're expecting it to be.
Well, I'm expecting it to be something where, not seamless, I just don't think we're really going to notice it. And that goes to John's point. John says, I don't think people can name me two centers in the NFL other than Jason Kelce, right? Which I think he's right. Like, if we did a man on the street, it's kind of hard to do that when you put people on the spot like that. But here's the deal. You know it when it's bad. Like,
Yes.
Nobody knows outside, like, here in Philadelphia, we know Rick Lovato is the long snapper. I guarantee you can't name me another long snapper in the NFL that's active. I guarantee you that you can't. But if a long snapper in 4 straight games is, over snapping the punter or the holder for the field goal, right? Or is somehow getting penalized twice a game, you would know the person's name because they will be talked about. I don't think we're going to talk that much about Cam Jurgens for us to say, wow, we're really missing Jason Kelce. There might be things that we don't realize, like the veteran leadership inside the locker room. I don't know. I hear what you're saying. I just don't necessarily agree with you. I think they're going to be okay.
Yeah, that's my gut feeling too, is that we're going to be all right. The Eagles are going to be fine at the center position. Jalen Hurts is handling the blitz pickups. Everything's going to be fine. But, man, Jason Kelce was just so good. And while the argument that you don't really pick up on it unless it's really bad is fair, I think there's got to be such a gap between a guy who has not played that position significantly at the NFL level or at all at the NFL level. I don't know if Cam Jurgens has like a couple snaps there.
He did in the preseason 2 years ago because Jason Kelce had that elbow injury. And I guess last year, did he pop over when Jason Kelce came out of the game and they didn't dress enough offensive linemen? So
yeah,
he
so
had
they had to put him
out
back
there.
in.
Yeah.
Like, possibly. That's why I want to say he doesn't have any experience, but it's hard for me to believe that like an all-pro caliber player is just replaced by another guy that's a second-year dude or third-year dude, and you just say, we're not going to notice. There's going to be something, and I don't think we're making enough out of that.
Okay. Brendan, is there something that we are going to look back on during this offseason, preseason training camp, and it could be at some point during the regular season, playoffs after the season ends, well, we're going to look back and say, man, we made such a big deal that, or we didn't make enough of a deal. I'll give you another example in case people are trying to, think about something. Back in the year the Eagles won the Super Bowl, Fletcher Cox not going to OTAs was like a criminal thing that Fletcher Cox did. People wanted him behind bars. How dare you, as a high-paid leader of this team, not want to go to OTAs?
Dude, we got weeks of content out of that because people couldn't stop talking about it.
They won the Super Bowl that year.
Did they? Wow.
Yeah.
Crazy how that happens.
Brendan, what is something that we're going to look back on that we made too much of or not enough of?
Yes, kind of similar to Connor. It has to do with Jason Kelce, but not the actual center position. I think a lot has been made of who's going to step up and be this leader on this team because Fletcher Cox and Jason Kelce are both out of here. I think it's kind of fickle. Like, I think this team's going to go out there and win, and when you win, leaders just naturally step up. Like, I don't think you need the leader to win. I kind of think you talk about good leadership in response to a winning and bad leadership in response to losing. I don't think it really is that important per se. And I think we spent a lot of time talking about the leadership this offseason, and I just don't think it's going to matter that much. I think they're going to go out there, win 11, 12, 13 games, and when you do that, everybody loves the way Jalen Hurts is going out there and leading. Everybody loves the way CJ came back and is loud. If it goes wrong, then maybe that's a conversation, but I don't think that's going to happen. So I think the leadership conversation was all for naught because they're all just going to step up at some point.
Look, we're basically telling a lot of people, hey, during the offseason, we're going to say a lot of things, and some of them might matter, and some of them might not. So we love some of your answers on that, 610-632-0975. When it comes to the Eagles and this offseason that's been filled with topics, this has not been a slow offseason, mind you. Like, there's been a lot to get into. That's what a historic collapse does for you. That's what an exciting draft does for you. That's what an exciting offseason of additions of Saquon Barkley and Jahan Dotson and Chauncey Gardner-Johnson and Vic Fangio and Kellen Moore. Like, good things can also provide you plenty of content. So what might we look back on at some point this season about this offseason where we made too much of something or not enough of? And I want some of your answers on that. You can text in or call in 610-632-0975. But what do we have on the text line about Taijuan Walker, Brendan? There are people that are not blaming him.
No, we got Alex in Levittown checking in. He says maybe if Harper acted like a professional and didn't let such a cheap run score, maybe Walker would have been more focused coming off a game, and then he almost gave up 5 earned runs. He gave up 6 earned runs, by the way, so this texter's off. But this is on the offense. Forget whatever mindset they had. The Astros had 1 run through 3 innings. Inexcusable for them to not score a single run, let alone get a single hit.
1 run through 3 innings, and then I could say they had 6 runs through 4 innings. Like, that's the thing. Like, I know the Phillies have a good offense, and there's games where they score 5, 6, 7 runs. Sometimes they don't score them till the 4th, 5th, or 6th inning. It was 6-0, and everybody had the exact same feeling. Once that inning happened, my honest reaction was, wow, it took longer than I thought it would. I thought it was going to happen in the 1st, 2nd, or 3rd inning. The fact that it did happen in the 4th inning, kudos to you, Taijuan Walker, for lasting longer than I expected. I don't think Bryce Harper set the tone. The tone was set 3 days ago now, but 2 days ago yesterday, when Rob Thompson announced that Taijuan Walker was going to be on the mound yesterday afternoon. That's when the tone was set for Wednesday's game. The tone was not set for Bryce Harper and his lazy attitude. Look, he deserves to be blamed. Like, that can't happen. Whether it's Taijuan Walker on the mound or Zach Wheeler, stuff like that can't happen. But I can't sit here today and say Bryce Harper is the reason why they lost 10-0. The offense is the reason why they lost 10-0. No, it was the manager's decision or the GM's decision or the owner's decision, whoever's decision it was to start Taijuan Walker yesterday. That was the reason why they came out with a lackluster attitude, with zero energy. You knew they were going to lose that ball game, right? Everybody probably bet the Astros yesterday who did put money down. So probably the Phillies had the exact same attitude going into the clubhouse that day. That's when it was set. 3 days ago when they decided to put Taijuan Walker out there, and Rob Thompson has to give out some ridiculous answer of his velocity was encouraging. Enough with this. And I know there's going to be people that are going to do this all day long. I saw it yesterday on social media. Oh, you're blaming Taijuan Walker? How about the offense gets a hit? Yeah, that would be great. How about the offense knows going into a game that they have a chance of actually freaking winning a baseball game?
And also, like, the offense hasn't done this 9 games in a row. Taijuan Walker has done this 9 starts in a row. This is not a continuing issue with the offense of, like, they're getting almost no hit every game. They scored 22 runs in 2 games.
Right.
2 games ago.
And by the way, they won this series.
Yeah, so it's not – the offense had a bad day. Taijuan Walker has had a bad year, and he needs to not be given the opportunity to make it worse.
God. People are going to look to blame other people. It's unbelievable. Just blame the guy that's cooked, okay? You don't have to say anything like where it's offensive to Taijuan Walker, like personality-wise. Just say he's cooked. He's got nothing left. And the team knows that. I will get to more text messages coming up next because apparently there are more people that are on that side, which I think is astonishing. It's Kincade and Salciunas right here, 97.5 The Fanatic.
President General Manager Howie Roseman.
48 on Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. Connor Thomas sitting in for John. Brendan Gunn is producing the show. We have today's headlines with B. Gunn coming up at 8:05, and there is a story. Not often do I send a story request, but I do have a story request that we will get into today that happened in Philadelphia yesterday, and it has nothing to do with sports, which might actually be a nice change of pace because I need it today. So that's coming your way at 8:05. Andrew DeCecco will join us at 8:10. And in the 8 o'clock hour, we're going to talk a little bit about the Super Bowl.
I like the Super Bowl.
All right? But that's not till 8 o'clock.
That could be a fun conversation.
Until then, we are miserable about the Phillies yesterday, or we are, I guess, naive into thinking that putting Taijuan Walker in the rotation yesterday, starting yesterday, was going to, maybe jolt the offense? Like, oh, you know what? We're going to play better today because we have to.
No, but can I give you a silver lining?
No.
Okay.
You can try, but I honestly don't want to hear it.
Could you imagine if that had been the first game against the Braves?
No.
Like,
dude, I don't want him to pitch against the White Sox.
No, I got you. But, like, was it not better that happened against the Astros? Then you lead off a series with your division rival getting 10-0'd and almost no hit at home.
Now, you know why? I'm worried about carryover. I'm worried about a malaise.
Really? Are you, though?
Yes.
Because I'm not.
You think they're going to just flip the switch today?
Sure. Why not? Like, I don't think that was a situation where, like, this team just forgot how to play and one game immediately turns around, them winning 3 out of 4 series in 4 straight games. Like, I don't know. Calling me stupid, but I think I think the Philadelphia Phillies still have the ability to play some good baseball, and I would much rather, and this is the only silver lining, and I'm not trying to make it, I know people are throwing up right now hearing me try and make this positive.
I don't feel good.
I know. But if that's the way you start a series in like a situation where the NL East could get really tight if you don't play well, I'd much rather it happen against the Astros than the Braves.
Okay. 5-game lead, by the way.
That's the one
for the
positive.
Atlanta Braves.
Yeah, I know.
For the Phils over the Braves.
It's tight.
All right, let's get to the text messages, and then I want to talk about something, and this might wait till the 7 o'clock hour when we reset the show, about something that Mike Missanelli's been pointing out, and I noticed it a lot yesterday. We'll probably talk about that more in the 7 o'clock hour. But what do we have on the text line there, B. Gunn, about our topics today? You can climb in at 610-632-0975. Overall Phillies reaction. And the Eagles topic, what is something that we are going to look back on that we discussed from the time the season ended to the kickoff of week 1 where we either made too much of it or not enough of it? What do we got?
Yeah, we got Jeff in Prospect Park checking in. It says, eat his contract, he being Taijuan Walker. We need to figure it out and the whole rotation before the playoffs start. He doesn't deserve to be on the postseason roster, period.
Yeah, like here's the thing. So people every once in a while say, oh, what are they going to do? Just eat his contract? Yes.
Sure.
Because here's the deal. What difference is it really making? You're not having competitive outings. So honestly, him pitching is more of a detriment to your team right now than him not pitching.
Right.
So, okay, we're giving him $18 million to sit on the couch, or we're giving him $18 million to put a loss in the, W and L column. Like, that's what it's gone to. Like, I'm not overstating this. You've mentioned it multiple times. His last 9 starts, the Phillies have not won. Now, I get it. That is a team stat. But it starts getting into the mentals. It also is putting you in a bad position when you're down 6 runs in the 4th inning. I mean, his last start against the Royals, the Phillies offense actually wasn't that bad. They scored 4 runs that night. They lost 7-4. But the problem was they were down like 6-1 again early on. You can only crawl and climb back so many times from that kind of a deficit.
No, totally fair. Now, what I will say to part of that text message, the playoff rotation, you don't have to settle that. That is settled. It's going to be Wheeler. It's going to be Nola. It's going to be Suarez.
Right, but he's saying he shouldn't even be on the roster, which last year he was on the roster. He took up a roster spot from something.
Right, fair. And he probably shouldn't be. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's not going to be a roster spot that matters all that much because the guys you're going to start in the postseason are going to be the main 3 and then Sanchez mixed in. Taijuan Walker, whether he's on this roster or not, which he shouldn't be, will not pitch in the postseason again.
Yeah, but I can't say that roster spot doesn't matter.
Jake Cave made the final out. Maybe you don't use that final roster spot on another pitcher.
Right, like Taijuan Walker. Think about this.
I'm not saying it doesn't matter.
Think about this for a second. Taijuan Walker was a wasted roster spot last year when he had I'm not even going to say decent season. You guys keep on pointing out the wins. His ERA was still 4.6. He was horrible. Taijuan Walker was at least a factor in a somewhat positive way for you last year.
Yes.
And did not pitch a single pitch in the postseason because he can't come out of the bullpen, and they didn't trust him to start. So he was a wasted roster spot last year. They basically kept him on the roster in the playoffs last year as probably we don't want to embarrass you, or we don't want to, that would be a bad look for us to keep you off the roster, especially because you're still here for another 3 seasons.
Right.
Now it's done. Like there's no
but he shouldn't be on the roster in a day, much less the postseason. Like,
Correct.
I'm not worried about that. My point is the whole figuring out the postseason rotation, like he's going to be a part of it, is not a conversation.
Yeah, he's not.
Because it's never even a thought that he's going to pitch in the postseason.
No. All right, give us one more text, Brendan.
We got Jack Brenner checking in. He says, as far as Taijuan Walker goes, he's done. I feel bad for him because he's a battler. Not many dudes can go out there after giving up 6 runs and 16 hits, but he's done. He has nothing left. You can't have a guaranteed loss every 5 games.
Yeah, no, it's horrible. And look, again, I in a day where I just want to be angry, I kind of respected the guy yesterday for after that 4th inning. I don't respect him as a pitcher. Respect him as a man, damn it. After that 4th inning, there was the cutaway of Rob Thompson and Taijuan Walker talking, and Topper talked about it after the game. He wanted to see if Taijuan said he wanted the ball for another inning.
Yeah,
not for I'm going to go out there and shut him down. Like, no. Listen, Topper, we got a big series coming up. Let me help out the bullpen. Like,
no, I respect
that's the
it.
only silver lining is
But-
the respect element.
Sure, but it's a minimal silver lining because you could put me out there and give up 6 runs, and then I'll still want the ball. Like, okay, you want to continue to pitch poorly?
Dude, look, the guy's had an MLB career. He's getting shelled. I wouldn't want. Sometimes I want to hide.
Yeah,
If I say something stupid, which is a daily basis on the show, I might want to hide from it.
and yet you're still right here, right next to me.
All right, coming up next, we reset the entire show. We get more of your text messages. And something I want to do, another Eagles exercise. We've spent all offseason focusing on the 49ers and the Lions and the Packers when it comes to the opponents of the Eagles going for the NFC. Let's look into the NFC East a little bit. Are we missing anything? Probably not. But let's dive into it. It's Kincade and Salciunas right here, 97.5 The Fanatic. 7:01 on Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic on this Wendy's Thursday morning. And as I usually do, I lie to you and I say I'll give away one an hour, and I always forget in the 6 o'clock hour. So let's start the 7 o'clock hour right away by saying caller number 4 in honor of 104 strokes that I took on the golf course yesterday. Not really a good day for yours truly.
Hey, man.
What happens when you play once a year.
Better day than Taiwan Walker.
That's exactly right. Call number 4 to the contest line, 215-263-0975. We'll win our first of 4 $50 Wendy's gift cards, as we do every single Thursday. Savor the drip of Wendy's Saucy Nugs Party Pack. Dude, 45-ish nugs slathered in honey, barbecue, garlic parm, buffalo, or ghost pepper. Open till midnight or later, participating locations only. That sounds tremendous.
Can I take off the rest of the show to go purchase one of those?
No, but...
what if I bring it back?
Yes. Or you can just bring the Wendy's breakfast burrito that I believe will be en route soon, thanks to our great man here, Mike Vito. Can't wait for my breakfast burrito. All right, so here's what we got on the show today. When it comes to the Eagles, what is something that we might look back on and say we made too much of that, or we didn't make much of it at all? I said that I think a lot of people will look back at the Nick Sirianni, Jalen Hurts disconnect and say, wow, you guys made way too much of that. You guys talked about that on a daily basis. For what reason? Even though I do believe there was legitimate reasons, and I think if they do have success, part of it may have been that they squashed everything. Connor, you said that we may not have talked enough about Jason Kelce retiring and Cam Jurgens taking over. And then Brendan says we're going to look back and say we made too much of the leadership conversation, because if you're winning, you have good leaders. If you're losing, you don't have good leaders, and we expect them to win. So I'd love to hear from you some more on your answers at 610-632-0975, what you think we will look back on and say we made too much of that or we didn't make enough of it. Here's another one. I'll talk about another offseason addition. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Now, I think we made a lot of Chauncey Gardner-Johnson coming back. I don't think we made enough of the attitude of Chauncey Gardner-Johnson coming here. Like, I think we all kind of just are on the same page that we realize it. But, man, I keep on going back to that 49ers moment pre-game last year when they walked right through your DB drills and you guys basically said, stop it. Leave us alone. That's basically what the Eagles did.
Yeah.
They said, please, stop. We're doing something here. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson would have gotten somebody's face. Like, something would have happened pregame where there would have been more of an altercation and not the 49ers bullying you and laughing at you when you complained.
It's a fair point. Here's my thing, right? Part of me thinks that part of his game is overrated.
Okay. And that's why you might think that we shouldn't even be talking about it. I think there is a value to it, and that's why I think we haven't talked enough of it.
I think there's some value to it for sure, but I think the bigger value to him is he is a guy that creates turnovers because he's a ball hawk. He's a guy that finds a way to turn the ball over, where it's laying a hit on someone or it's picking a ball off, and they didn't have that at all last year. So, yeah, you can have that mentality, but I don't think, like, everybody on the Eagles' defense was soft last year. That's my thing. Like, I think it's valid. I don't think it's a huge deal. Sometimes people overrate the mentality part of, like, oh, this guy's going to fight somebody because they disrespected the
They seemed to have a great mentality last year.
Well, yes, that was not good, but I don't think it was a one-person solve.
You know, maybe they missed some of that last year.
Possibly.
All right, so we want some of your answers on the text line. Also, of course, Taiwan Walker, the reaction to yesterday's game. There are people that are actually more so upset with the Phillies offense yesterday than Taiwan Walker's performance, and there are also people more upset with the Phillies offense than the Phillies organization deciding to give him another shot. I find that crazy. I don't know if that's you just feeling bad for Taiwan Walker or if that's you trying to think deeper than what it is. Like, let's face it. When that name, Taiwan Walker, was penciled in on the lineup card yesterday, it probably sent an entire shock through the team saying, oh, damn, this sucks, even though they'd known it for a couple of days. Look, think about this show that we've been doing this week. We talked about how game 2 of a series in August was a must-win game because I didn't want to go into a rubber match with Taiwan Walker on the mound.
Fair point.
So please don't tell me it was the offense's fault that yesterday happened.
No,
it was the mentality going into a game knowing you were going to lose to the point where I did a show on a must-win game in August because the game following what I knew was going to be a loss. You heard me say they're going to lose that game. I didn't make a prediction like, I bet that. No, I told you they were going to lose yesterday, and they did, and kind of the way that I expected it to, where it was a blowout.
Right, and blaming the offense and the lineup and everything, it's like if a game this year for the Eagles, the offense scored 14 points, and the defense gave up 70. It's like you're not looking at the offense not creating opportunities to score. You're looking at the unit that gave up an unbelievable amount of points. Like, that's the same thing. Sure, should the offense have been better? Absolutely. But Taiwan Walker is the much, much bigger issue.
Dude, I remember to that example, I remember people, I had a caller. I remember it was like the first caller I took the day after the Eagles lost to the Jets, blaming the defense. And I was like,
great in that game.
I was like, really? You're gonna? The offense scored 14 points against the New York Jets.
Yeah.
Like, I get that the Jets defense was good last year, but the offense lost you that game. Jalen Hurts threw a pick six that won the game.
There
for
were
New
4
York.
turnovers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's basically what's going on here.
Exactly.
People are legitimately blaming the offense, which is ridiculous. Now, speaking of the offense, and speaking of the Phillies, and we'll get to this NFC East discussion in a few minutes, and of course your text messages as well. Something that Mike Missanelli has pointed out the last couple of days on the midday show, Mike Missanelli midday show, Bill and Ray, has been Alec Boehm and his attitude on the field in recent games. And remember, there was the moment on Game 2, in Game 2 of the series against the Royals, where Bryce Harper had his arm around him in the dugout. He went 0 for 5 that game, Alec Boehm did. Phillies scored 11 runs. And I remember Mike and Bill going back and forth a little bit, and Mike saying, yo, you're winning, and you're finally winning, and you're winning big, and you have a bad attitude. And there were people that were like, oh, well, he's a competitor, he's human, that's going to happen. And I kind of agreed with more so the competitor human side of things than, hey, your team's winning, you should be happy. Here's the thing with Alec Boehm. He's acting as if he's 0 for his last 500.
Yeah, you saw the video from yesterday with the lip reading?
No.
So he gets out at first base, and the
Which one was this the slamming of the helmet, or was this the one crouching down?
I believe it was the slamming of the helmet.
Because there was a slamming of the helmet, and then there was he got thrown out at first base, and he, crouched and almost went in a fetal position.
He wasn't crouching, but apparently it appears that he said, my swing is so bleeped up right now. Or why is my swing so bleeped up right now? So he's still going through it.
Okay, and I remember, I think it was last year, where the camera caught him saying, I can't bleep and hit right now. So, this isn't, something new for Alec Boehm to be emotional like this.
And also, it's not a huge deal in a vacuum, but depending on when it is, that could be a problem.
Yeah, it could be. He has time to turn things around. But my biggest thing is, all right, so he's had an 0 for 4. In his last 10 games, he has 2 0-fers. In the other, 3 0-fers. The other 7 games, he has a hit or 2 hits in every single game.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying his slump in a vacuum. I'm saying his reaction to this in a vacuum is not that big of a deal. You want a guy to be a competitor. We talked about the same thing with Taiwan Walker and guys that you want to be out there even if you're not at your best.
Yeah.
Trying to help the team. But when the rest of the team is going well and you're not going that bad yourself individually, that type of mentality, it's tough to exist in a sport like baseball where you're getting that down on yourself in a time where you're actually not doing that bad.
Yeah, he's not, and that's the thing. He's not doing all that bad. And the other thing is, the slamming of the helmet one was, I think it was a double play ball. He hit it on the nose. It's not like he hit this dribbler back to the pitcher, and it was a 1-6-3 double play. He hit it like a one-hopper screaming grounder that Altuve made a nice play on. Remember yesterday, there were a couple of balls hit to Bryson Stott that there was a rough hop over his head that ended up being a hit. And then there was the other one that could have been a double play ball if he fielded it cleanly, but it came off the bat 175 miles per hour. Sometimes the player makes the play, sometimes the player doesn't. Boehm hit basically an identical ball. It's just the play was made. It's not like He's hitting these weak pop-ups. It's not like he's flailing out. Like, I haven't seen him. Like, I don't look at the way Alec Bohm's been playing the last 10 games and go, man, he's in a rough spot. I told you there was the swing from Bryce Harper last week or 2 weeks ago. It was one of the rare nights where I texted the show. Right? I usually put the phone down. Where there was a fastball right down the middle of the plate, and he hit a lazy fly ball in the foul territory. I was like, man, this guy's just off. I could just tell by the swing. I haven't noticed that out of Alec Bohm. Like, I haven't seen anything where it should be leading to the reaction that he's currently having.
So then why is he having it?
I don't know. I mean, he knows. Obviously,
know.
He's the human. He's the human. I'm not.
You know why he's having it. Think about it. Like, break that down.
He's upset with how he's playing?
Well, it's not just that. The pressure. Pressure's starting to get to him. There's a lot of expectations on this team.
What? Well, hold on a second. But who's putting are you hearing any vitriol toward Alec Bohm right now?
No, but you're hearing it towards the team, and you don't think he hears that. You don't think he knows the slump that they're in.
In these last 10 games, they've been winning.
I got you.
Like, that's the thing. Like, I don't like. I'm honestly, you know how sometimes there's somebody that's upset about something, just your own friend. You're like, dude, why are you even upset about that? Like,
no, I got you.
That's kind of where I'm at with Alec Bohm. Where if I could talk to Alec Bohm, if he and I were buddies, if I saw him in a bar, I'd be like, bro, look, I get it. You have high expectations for yourself, but you're not playing all that bad. Like,
and that's the right way to handle it. But I don't think it's like, I really do think it's a point where the way this fan base is reacting and the way the team is reacting, and they're in a better stretch now, a much better stretch. They've won 3 of their last 4 series. They just came off a 4-game win streak. I do think there's part of it where they still look at that stretch that they went through, the 2-month or so slump.
Yeah.
And they say, wow, that cannot happen. And we've got ground we got to make up to be the team we want to be. And I think that, and the other thing you got to remember, for all the guys that slumped in the postseason last year in the NLCS, Bohm was easily the worst.
yeah, he was.
Like, he was unusable in the cleanup spot behind Bryce Harper. So I wonder if there's a little bit of, man, I got to figure this out before October because I can't be another liability. I can't cost this team. I wonder if you're starting to see a little bit of the pressure get to a young player.
That's where the attitude started, though. You remember in Game 7, he completely smashed his bat in the dugout.
Yeah.
And that kind of just ricochets to the whole team. You see somebody else getting tight like that.
To the point where Bryce Harper has to sit down with him and be a good veteran leader, put his arm around him, all that kind of stuff.
I'm cool with him being competitive and being mad. I do it myself. Obviously, I've never played to the major league level, but you see me curse on the golf course and stuff like that. Maybe it'll
every swing you make.
Dude, but by the way, he's batted 273 in August. 278 in July, 284 in June, 243 in May. Like, this isn't even his worst month. Like, it's just, honestly, I'm worried about him.
I am a
You know
little
what I
bit
mean?
too.
Like, I'm worried about him if he's having this kind of reaction when I don't think he's playing all that bad. Like, he's not, when I'm thinking about the Phillies' problems right now, he doesn't even come close to, like, me going, oh, that's an issue right there.
No, but it's a long season. It's a mental grind, and it's a tough thing. Sometimes in the moment, you get lost in the how the team's playing, what you think you're doing. You don't really, like, look at your numbers. You just feel like, man, I'm not getting on base.
You just feel that you're off or something, yeah.
Exactly, and that can weigh on people, and that can not be a good thing for the psyche. So I do worry about it when I see players reacting like that, too.
All right, you can text it, you can call in 610-632-0975. Give us a couple texts, Brendan, and then I want to have this NFC East conversation with you all.
Yeah, we got somebody checking in. Anthony, his name is in St. Pete. He's saying this is why Dombrowski should have gotten another serviceable starting pitcher at the deadline. If something happens to one of the 4 starters, this team is in a lot of trouble because the hitters have proven to be inconsistent. Thank God we missed Sale this weekend. Thompson should have taken his best players out in the 5th inning yesterday after that long stretch in the 4th.
I meant that. I meant that yesterday. Like, I wasn't just trying to get reaction on social media. I'm serious. The second you sent Taijuan Walker back out there for the 5th inning, and look, part of it was Taijuan Walker wanted the ball to help out the team, and I commend him for it. You know, that's like the nicest thing I'm going to say. You should have pulled the rest of the starters, or at least the starters that mattered. Right? Like, there is no way that
What was it, 6-0?
Yeah, I know. Look, I get it.
I mean,
It was,
you can't.
dude, honestly, you can. Because did anyone expect him to throw a scoreless 5th?
No, but that's not you can't in a 6-0 ball game, dude. Like,
dude,
I understand.
I don't care.
I understand where we're at with Taijuan Walker. You cannot. Do you know how much hate that Rob Thompson would get.
No, I think people would have agreed with Rob Thompson.
Absolutely not.
If you yanked Walker, fine.
Yeah.
Like, keep them in there, but you're giving the game up when you keep them in there.
Yeah,
So
you waved the white flag, setting back out there in the fifth inning, and he ultimately pitched a scoreless fifth. But you waved the white flag, sending him back out there.
I got you, but dude, if he pulled the starters in a 6-0 ball game,
Dude, I don't agree with you.
Okay,
I really don't. I don't think he put out a poll.
Yeah, we got to hear
Honestly,
from the
I'm
people.
curious about that. I would like you to put out a poll, Brendan. You could, I guess, try not to skew it. Even though John's not here, you can skew it any way you want.
Yeah.
I want to know, would people have ripped Rob Thompson had he pulled the starters when he sent Taijuan Walker out there? Now, try to put something out there like revisionist history aside. We know they ended up losing 10-0. We know that Taijuan Walker ended up pitching a scoreless fifth inning. The moment that Taijuan Walker walked back out there for the fifth inning, should Rob Thompson have pulled the starters? Or if he did, sorry, not should he have. If he did, would you have ripped Rob Thompson? I don't think people would have ripped him. I think people would have said, all right, they officially waved the white flag. But I think they officially waved the white flag when he was out there for the fifth inning.
Yeah, I think they officially waved the white flag when they made the decision on Monday.
Yeah,
I mean,
true.
like, bottom line, you put Taijuan Walker out there, you deserve what you get right now. But I get what you're saying. I can't live in a world where, like, 6 runs. I know 6 runs seems like a lot. But in the fifth inning, I can't live in a world where that's pulled the starters territory.
But in the fifth inning, when, like, again, you didn't know that he was going to pitch a scoreless. I think we all thought that he was going to give up 2 more runs. And if it's 2 more runs, then it's 8-0.
Sure, but fifth inning is you still have time. You score 2 and then 2.
Everybody says the long season
is
is basically half a day off.
Okay.
You know, get them ready for this. Look, let's keep the bullpen arms fresh. That's why Walker's going out there. You know what? Let's keep the lineup fresh. Let's take them out halfway through the game.
I got you. There's just so much time to go in the game at that point. You're slightly over halfway.
In a game, by the way, where you're getting no hit.
I understand.
Like, that's the other thing. It's not like the attitude was good. It's not like the Phillies players were out there ready to play hard and win a baseball game yesterday.
Right, but I still don't think it's fair. I will never back up pulling your starters down 6 in the fifth.
I would have commended Rob Thompson for it. I honestly would have. All right, you can text and you can call in 610-632-0975. We'll get to more text messages coming up. But I want to do something. We've talked a lot about the Eagles trying to win the NFC, right? Winning the conference. And if they don't win the conference, we believe that they will be maybe 2 or 3. That means we all expect them to win the division. I don't think we've had any callers, texters, or tweeters that said the Eagles would lose the division. I think there have been people that have told us to slow our roll. But, I mean, you man the text line. Brendan, you man the text line when Connor's in John's chair or when Connor's in my chair when I'm out. Have you guys seen any logical, not just haterade, not just Negadelphia, have you seen any logical texts that we have gotten where somebody has said, I don't think they even win the division? Anything come to your mind?
No, not really.
So we're kind of all in the same boat that they're going to win the division, and that's why I say in that open that you hear that it would be a failure if they don't win the NFC East. So let's think about this for a second. Let's see if we're missing something, because the Dallas Cowboys, as much of a joke that they are, that we like to poke fun at, they do still have a lot of talent on both sides of the ball. And I think we all just kind of assume that they take a step back this year. If you listen to Adam Schefter, he thinks the Commanders are actually going to be a formidable opponent. I saw a lot of betting analysts recently putting out over-under tickets for win totals. A lot of people are going with the over for the Commanders. I think they're at 5.5 or around 6. So that means they're having them win like 7 games. Will Brinson, what you guys had on the week the couple days I was out, he has them going 7-10. Like, there's a lot of people that have the Commanders all of a sudden winning some good ball, winning a decent amount of football games. Now the question is, when it comes to the division, we always do the whole, the Eagles are probably going to split with the Cowboys and sweep the rest of the division. So that means they go 5-1. Do we feel that comfortable? What is hey, they have to go 5-1 or bare minimum 4-2? Like, is there a chance that they lose to the Commanders this year? Are we sleeping on the Commanders a little bit this season? Is there anything with the Giants that we're missing? I don't think the Giants completely stink. So I want to dive deeper into the NFC East coming up next. So focused on the 49ers, and the Lions, and there's a burrito in front of me, and other teams in the NFC, but we haven't really focused much on the NFC East. So I want to do that a little bit. We're going to talk to Andrew DeCecco about it at 8:10, and of course your text messages on all of our topics today. You can climb in at 610-632-0975. It is Kincade and Salciunas on this Wendy's Thursday morning. I promise you another $50 gift card will be going out the door next segment. So just listen closely on how you can win on Kincade and Salciunas 97.5 The Fanatic.
This hour of Kincade Salciunas is presented by the all-new Bet Parks app. Sportsbook and casino in one sleek, easy-to-use app in Pennsylvania, Jersey, Ohio, Maryland, and Michigan.
It is 7:30 on Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. Connor in for John this week. John will be back on Tuesday following Labor Day Monday. We got Andrew DeCecco joining us coming up at 8:10 today. And we're going to get into the NFC East with him. Obviously get his reaction to Final Cutdown Day as well, because Andrew is one of those weirdos that loves preseason week number 3, almost more so than the regular season. I don't know if that's 100% accurate, but I know he loves himself some preseason week number 3. So he actually can give us some legit insight about some of the back end of the depth chart guys that made the team and didn't make the team, his thoughts on it. We'll also talk about the NFC East, and we'll also get into some Super Bowl discussion with Andrew DeCecco, because I read something interesting on Fox Sports this morning that I want to get into. But before we get back to our text messages on today's topics that we've gotten into so far, I just want to kind of talk about the NFC East a little bit. This probably won't last long, this conversation, because
I don't think so.
I don't think it should. Because I think this NFC East is easily for the taking for the Eagles. Like, I really do. I think the streak of now, it'll be 19 seasons since we've seen back-to-back division winners in the NFC East, which is an amazing stat. I think the Eagles win the division. I've been saying it for a while now, really since this show started. I mean, this is show number 119. I think I've been saying it since its inception, that I believe the Eagles will comfortably win the NFC East this year. And comfortably doesn't mean 5-6 game lead. Comfortably means like 2, and not having to play your starters in week 18 unless you're trying to get that number 1 seed. I don't really see the Commanders as much of a threat as a lot of people are. Maybe I'm naive.
No, you're not. It would take like a miracle season from Jaden Daniels to even put him in contention.
Well, that's the thing. Like, Jaden Daniels has to be a miracle. The rest of that team, we went through, I forget if it was CBS or Fox, they ranked the position skill groups. Did this earlier in the week.
Right.
Like quarterback in the NFC. So Jalen Hurts came in at number 1 among the NFC East quarterbacks. Saquon Barkley came in at number 1 among the running backs in the NFC East. The wide receiver tandem of A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith came in at number 1. I think out of the 12 they did, the Eagles were number 1 in 8 of them between players and coaches. The Commanders were like last for a majority of them.
Yeah, they've got a weird type of put-together team where they're almost trying to rebuild, but they also brought in a bunch of vets. That
Right.
team doesn't know what they're doing. They have a very talented potential quarterback, but I don't know. They're not a threat for the division title this year. I don't think about that for a second.
Yeah, like, I get wanting to have, like, Terry McLaurin is still there, and I think he's a very talented wide receiver who's just been trapped with horrible quarterback play. I get keeping him around because you want to have your rookie quarterback have a legit weapon to throw to. I mean, that's
Right.
why you saw the Bengals opt into not drafting an offensive lineman for Joe Burrow, but instead drafting Jamar Chase, right? Like, because they want to have the weapon that he can actually throw to.
Yeah,
But-
Washington kept him, right? Like, they still
Right.
have Jahan Dotson, right?
Well, they trade him away
Oh.
because they're also kind of rebuilding. However, if you look at their defense, like, the Commanders' defense is probably going to be okay because their pass rush of Deron Payne and Jonathan Allen in the middle will help out Dorrance Armstrong and Clelin Ferrell on the outside. Like, their pass rush is going to be okay. Bobby Wagner is a professional, respected middle linebacker, and I loved the signing of Frankie Louvu. He's somebody that I wanted the Eagles to get. He was a linebacker with the Carolina Panthers. Jeremy Chinn's okay at strong safety. Other than that, their secondary sucks.
Yeah. it's
Like, they
not
have
great.
no secondary. Like, we talk about how when the Eagles won the Super Bowl, like, Ronald Darby and Jalen Mills really benefited from having a good pass rush. I would take Ronald Darby and Jalen Mills over Benjamin St. Juste, right? Like, that secondary in D.C. is horrible. And I expect the offense to put up, a lot of offenses to put up a lot of points against them. The Commanders' offense, on the other hand, do they keep up the way they did against the Eagles last year? Against the rest of the league? I don't know. Like, Alameda Zaccheaus, nice player. He's from here. that's their second best receiver. Zach Ertz is 100, with all due respect.
Even so, let's say their offense meets their ceiling. Their ceiling is probably 9 wins.
Dude, their big offseason addition offensively was Austin Eckler, who looks like he can't run anymore.
Probably washed. I'm not worried about Washington.
And neither am I. Look, maybe they win. I got to see, because I think their win total was around 5 or 6. Maybe they are close to that over-under mark. Maybe that win total is perfect. But, the Nick Wright guy had him coming in. Now, he had the Eagles coming in third, which is stupid. But he had the Commanders coming in second. Are they really going to win 8 or 9 games in order to come in second place? I saw some people yesterday legitimately saying the Cowboys could finish third in this division. I don't believe that. They were kind of making the jokes because they signed Dalvin Cook, so now they have the 2 oldest running backs, or at least oldest looking running backs in the NFL, and Zeke and Dalvin Cook. But you still have Dak and CeeDee Lamb. You still have Jake Ferguson. You still have a good offensive line. You still have talented players on defense. That Cowboys team's not falling to third in the division. The Commanders are finishing third, and I don't think they're going to be an 8-win team. They're going to probably come around 5 or 6. I don't think they're going to be as dangerous this year as people are saying they could be.
Also, is it even worth mentioning the New York team?
No. No.
They're not even in the conversation.
That's why I believe this conversation that we're having right now is quick, because we're really only talking about 3 teams, and I don't think one of those 3 teams are as legit as a lot of people are making them out to be. And John thinks highly of Jaden Daniels, and he thinks that the Commanders could be a sneaky team. And people keep on bringing up how the Commanders almost beat you in both games last year. Those games were horrible. I don't expect that to happen again this season.
No, me either. I don't know how you could. You can't go into every season expecting the anomaly to repeat itself. And that was an anomaly. So you should, honestly, in the division, take care of business against everybody comfortably not named Dallas. And when you play Dallas, you got to hope you've done enough work that the games don't matter as much.
Right.
And that you can split them.
Yeah.
That's it. Simple.
The Commanders' over-under, by the way, is 6.5 wins, with the over being the favorite. So I don't think they are getting to 8 or 9. So probably 7 is what people are betting on if they're doing the over-under win total. That's one that I won't touch, because I could see it. I can also see them having 4 wins, because that team's not that. That's not a team like the Giants. I don't think would be competitive at all, except for their pass rush. I don't think there's anything good about the Giants except for their pass rush, and we'll see if Malik Neighbors is as good as everyone makes him out to be. Doesn't really matter when he doesn't have a quarterback throwing it to him.
No, not really.
The Commanders have a couple places where I go, all right, that's a good spot on the team, that's a good spot on the team, that's a good spot on the team. But enough to guarantee me 7 wins? Probably not.
No, and neither of these teams really have it. In in New York or Washington, they're not really going to be in the conversation for the division title. In my mind, I think it would be crazy if either of those teams coming down the home stretch are even remotely in the race.
Yeah, I don't think so at all. All right, let's go to Lewis in New Jersey. Lewis, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Hey, good morning, fellas.
What up, Lou?
Oh, yeah. Look, going to win the division by at least 2, like you said, at least 2 games. I don't even think Dallas is going to be as good as they were last year. They look in disarray. Here's the thing with the Commanders, though. You know how it is in football. It's basically this year is Jaden Daniels going to be the guy? If he's going to be the guy, and I actually believe he is, I think he's going to be terrific. But if he's the guy, yeah, they're the type of team that can. It's not that they're going to sneak up and win a division, but they can sneak up and beat you. They may be as competitive enough to beat you one game. If you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, they were competitive enough to almost beat you. They almost beat you twice last year. So they were competitive enough last year. Now they have a better quarterback out there. But is he going to be C.J. Stroud where he explodes on the scene? C.J. Stroud also had legit weapons. I believe Terry McLaurin is a tremendous wide receiver, but then what? I know everybody likes to show love to the local guy in Olamide Zaccheaus, but I don't know. Is De'Ami Brown really going to be this explosive wide receiver for them?
But you also know too that when you have a running quarterback like that, it's like having Allen at the point guard. It opens up the door for everybody else. You know what I'm saying? Because of that threat.
Right.
So it makes decent receivers look good. If you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, and because he's a rookie, he might, he might have some runnerish legs, and he might want to, run a little bit more, which will then keep defenses honest. I hear what you're saying, Lewis, and I appreciate the call. But hear what we're saying. Ultimately, Lewis is saying the Eagles are winning the division. I'm saying the Eagles are the division. You, Connor, Brendan, you're saying the Eagles are going in the division.
Yes.
We're talking about how maybe the Commanders could be a threat in a game. They're not going to be a threat in this division. It's a two-team race, and I think the Eagles have the leg up.
Totally agree. It's hard not to see it that way because of the talent of the roster. Dallas could make a little bit of noise, but they feel like a sinking ship. And the hope is that at some point in this season, they hit the iceberg.
Yeah, look, I think it's going to come down closer toward the end of the season. Like, I don't think they're going to actually be that bad. I heard Bill the other day saying that he could see them winning like 9 or 10 games. Like,
well, what would be more surprising to you? Dallas wins like 12 games or Dallas wins 7 games? Because
Dallas winning 7 would be a huge surprise to me.
Yeah.
They're not going to be bad.
Okay.
I know we hate Dallas in this city. They're not going to be bad.
I feel like that whole Dak contract thing is not a good spot to be in as a football team, and I feel like McCarthy.
You know what? Dak goes, I want to make $1 billion, so I'm going to ball out this year.
Sure, but on top of that, McCarthy's coaching without an extra year on his contract.
Yeah, and you know what he's going to do? I'm going to try to coach my ass off to get an extension.
Okay, well, he can't coach his way out of the paper bag, so he can try all he wants.
I think the Eagles win the division. I think they win it comfortably, but I don't think the Cowboys are going to win 7 games.
Okay, well, I don't think so either, but I do think that team is on the verge of imploding.
And that would be amazing, and I would love every second of that. All right, coming up next, we get to your text messages on any of our topics today. Again, big 8 o'clock hour ahead. And how about caller number 1 of the contest line right now? Caller number 1 will get a $50 Wendy's gift card. Savor the drip of Wendy's Saucy Nugs Party Pack. 45-ish nugs slathered in honey barbecue, garlic parm, buffalo, or ghost pepper. Open till midnight or later. Participating locations or only. I promised you I'd give one away this segment. 215-263-0975. First caller will get it. We'll be right back. Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
It's almost here. The 2024 NFL season.
6:47 on Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. John out till Tuesday. We'll be back following Labor Day, getting you set for Eagles-Packers Week 1. We are 1 week away from the return of the NFL with the Chiefs and the Ravens opening up the NFL season. And, of course, the Eagles-Packers on Friday night. The slate to start, forget betting for a second. I know that's what where the world has gone to when it comes to the NFL. Just pure enjoyment of football, man. Ravens-Chiefs is your lone game Thursday night.
Dynamite game.
Great game. Rematch of the AFC Championship game, and two teams that will once again be fighting for probably a top seed, even though, watch out for those Bengals. Two teams that are fighting for the top seed in the AFC. I think the Bengals will be really good as long as
Joe Burrow.
Dude, as long as he stays healthy. That defense is really good.
Is
and the
it
offense
the Slim
is
Shady cut? What is it about him?
No, it's the talent. I think he's really good.
Yeah.
But that's your Thursday night game, Ravens-Chiefs. Your Friday night game, as we already know, is the Packers and the Eagles. If you're not an Eagles fan, that's a great game because it's once again two teams that will be fighting for the top seed in the NFC. If you think that highly of the Packers, I still think the Lions are a very good team. I don't think they're going to – what did they win last year? 13 games?
Thought it was 12.
12 games. They might be right around there again. I don't think they fall off. John's been saying he thinks they're going to take a slight step back this year. I don't know if that step back means the Packers win the division. I think that Lions team is stacked offensively. And we still haven't seen Jameson Williams yet, really. A real Jameson Williams. And that defense is more set than the way the Packers have been, even though I know they had a decent offseason. But that Lions team's going to be pretty good. But the 4:25 game, America's Game of the Week, is Cowboys-Browns, which is at least interesting.
The Cowboys on America's Game of the Week?
Yeah, shocker. It's an interesting game going into it. We'll see if it really is anything because, let's face it, Deshaun Watson is not the Deshaun Watson that he used to be in Houston. So that might not even be that good of a game. But on paper, you go, all right, I'm looking forward to watching that one. Sunday night is Rams-Lions.
Oh, that's a great game.
Which is a great game. It's Stafford going up against his old team in Detroit.
Playoff rematch.
And it's playoff rematch. And then, of course, the Lions were in the NFC Championship game last year. And then Monday night is Jets-Niners.
That's another good one.
And the Jets are my pick to win that division, again, like I did last year, as long as Aaron Rodgers' leg doesn't blow up.
I can't imagine anything going wrong with the Jets.
Yeah, exactly. I know. But think about those marquee matchups to start in Week 1. Ravens-Chiefs, Packers-Eagles, Rams-Lions, Jets-Niners.
I mean, honestly, so good.
Now, my question for you, and maybe we have some more fun with this next week, but do you like the marquee matchups early on?
Absolutely.
I love it. John is against it. John wishes
I'd rather it be at a spot where they matter more.
Right. And I understand where he's coming from. And, especially now with the idea that the first 4 weeks of the season are the continuation of the preseason. But, I don't know, if you're watching a show, episode 1 of a new season needs to be a banger.
Yeah,
For you
much.
to come back and watch episode 2, or it's just a great way to start a new season because you want people talking about it. You can't have a bad first show.
No.
Football can have the 16 worst matchups to start the season in Week 1.
Yes.
You're still going to be watching Week 2.
Right.
But this is just a normal way to build something by having a big Week 1.
No, you're right. They could put Denver Broncos, Carolina Panthers primetime, and we'd watch it.
Right.
But bottom line is you want to best foot forward, right? You want to give the people something that's this is what we've been waiting for. Football is back. Wet our whistle a little bit. I don't want to wait till November or December to see the good teams play each other. Screw that.
Right.
Match up Week 1.
Yeah, Panthers-Saints is the first 1 o'clock game or one of the first
Perfect.
1 o'clock games. That game stinks. But, if that was Thursday night, if that was the league opener, I'd be pissed off about it. I love that they have these great matchups to start the season.
Yeah, unless it was Color Rush. Then I'm in.
Nah,
I miss those Color Rush.
I don't miss the color rush at all.
You're anti-Color Rush?
I just play the game. I don't care I don't care if it's Kelly Green, Midnight Green, or Magenta. Just play the damn game. All right, what do we have on the text line, Brendan?
Yeah, we got somebody checking in, Tim from Harrisburg. He says Jalen Carter has not been talked about nearly enough. This kid could easily dominate the league and be the X factor that improves the defense drastically.
Yeah, you know why he's probably not been talked about enough is because the players around him are more concerning. Like, I know that Jalen Carter is going to be a great football player. I don't know how great. Like, you asked me last segment, what would I be more surprised in? Cowboys winning 12 games or winning just 7? I would be shocked if they only won 7 games. If you ask me, what would be more surprising? Jalen Carter's a great player or Jalen Carter's like a Hall of Famer? I can't answer that question. I know he's going to be a great player. I just don't know how good he can be.
Right.
Like, people are calling him Aaron Donald. Now, I like to, slow you roll a little bit, but if that's what people think he's going to be, then, sign me up. It's just the rest of the players. Like, Bryce Huff is an unknown. Josh Sweat, we kind of know what you get out of him. Jordan Davis is the story is great first half player, bad second half player. Brandon Graham is 36 years old. He's not going to be playing all that much for you. And the rest of the depth isn't really anything that's going to get you excited if necessary, except for maybe Milton Williams. That might be why we're not talking about Jalen Carter enough, to that texter's point.
Exactly why. You don't have the luxury to focus on what Jalen Carter could be because we have too many questions and concerns about the rest of the defensive line. Like, looking at projecting those players out is a luxury to have. Outside of the offensive side, well, the whole offensive side of the ball, I was going to say. But on the defensive side of the ball, you don't really have the luxury to focus on projections for those players because there's so many questions about those guys you listed and what the defensive line could be. So that's why Jalen Carter kind of gets lost in the shuffle a little bit.
Right. And it's not that we're not excited for him. It's just that we're probably more worried about everybody else.
Exactly.
But if you're just tuning in, our Eagles topic today is what you think we will look back on and say we talked too much about that or we didn't talk enough about it at all. And that's why we just got that Jalen Carter text there. You can text the show at 610-632-0975. The Phillies' decision to start Taijuan Walker yesterday and it imploding in their faces like we all expected. More reaction to come on that, even though there are fans that are literally blaming the Phillies offense more for yesterday, when I can't believe you would actually expect the Phillies to go into that game yesterday fighting for a win when they knew they were going to lose, like you did. You yourself knew that they were going to lose. Andrew DeCecco joins us coming up at 8:10. Today's headlines at 8:05. A whole lot more. It's Kincade and Salciunas on this Thursday morning, 97.5 The Fanatic. 7-5, The Fanatic on this Thursday morning, a Wendy's Breakfast Burrito Thursday morning. We have two more $50 Wendy's gift cards to give away as this show continues. One this hour, one in the 9 o'clock hour. Speaking of the 9 o'clock hour, Kevin Nagandi will be joining us coming up at 9 o'clock as he does most Thursday mornings with us. And at 8:10 every Thursday, we are joined by Andrew DeCecco from Inside the Birds and here on 97.5 The Fanatic. He did a tremendous job covering training camp. He has a lot of thoughts on the 53-man roster, like deep thoughts. I mean, he was probably upset that E.J. Jenkins did not make the team as a third tight end. He was the one to report that he did sign to the practice squad. He's a big E.J. Jenkins guy. I guarantee you if E.J. Jenkins walks on the street of Philadelphia, nobody can point out E.J. Jenkins. That's how deep Andrew DeCecco is. He's a football guy, damn it. So he's coming up at 8:10. We have today's headlines coming up at 8:05. But I would like to get some more text messages. Give us another Taiwan Walker-related text. I'm curious if it is, on more of the side of us, or is it the offenses to blame texts?
Yeah, we got Kirk in Florida checking in. He says Walker does not deserve 100% of the blame. Walker imploded in the fourth inning. Phillies batters were 0 for 9 with 7 Ks up until that point. If they didn't show up because it was Walker, because it was a Walker start, then that's pathetic from all the players, even the All-Stars.
How about I say this to Kirk? It's not even Taiwan Walker's fault. How about I say that? It is the organization's fault for coming to terms with him pitching yesterday.
Yeah.
It's not the lineup's fault. It's not even Taiwan Walker's fault. It is Rob Thompson's fault if he was the one to make the decision. It's Dave Dombrowski's fault if he was the one that made the decision. It's Sam Folds' fault if he was the one that made the decision. It's John Middleton's fault if he was the one that made the decision. It was one of the veteran leaders on the team's fault if they went up to Rob Thompson and they did the Rudy jersey drop and said, we're only playing if Taiwan pitches. Whoever's decision it was ultimately for Taiwan Walker to pitch yesterday, they are to blame. They get 100% of the blame. Not Taiwan Walker, not the lineup. How about that? Can we all come to terms with that one?
I do want to give Taiwan Walker himself some blame.
All right, fine. He gets more blame than the lineup, though.
Yes.
For the people that are actually coming to terms with the lineup being the problem from yesterday's game, I really want to know what drugs you're doing.
Right. That's a crazy way to consume yesterday's baseball game.
Look, you're not wrong. The lineup that was what that guy what Kirk said. They were 0 for 9 with 7 strikeouts. Factually correct.
Right, but it's not the point.
It's not. There's a mentality going into a game that any athlete at any level has had. And I need you to realize that you probably had this at some point in your life, even if you were just playing Little League and little Timmy was the coach's son and little Timmy couldn't reach home plate from the mound, but little Timmy's dad put him on the mound anyway. And you guys all had the same reaction of, oh, dude, come on, man, this guy stinks. Why are we putting him out there? It doesn't matter what level of play. If you get to the major leagues, clearly you're better than a lot of people. But there comes a time. JT Realmuto is a perfect person to ask. When, what's his face? What was his name? Jared Hughes?
Yes.
When Jared Hughes is coming out of the bullpen, and I know JT Realmuto is set on the record that he wasn't rolling his eyes at Jared Hughes. He was rolling his eyes at the situation at hand. I would like to believe that it was at Jared Hughes.
I'd like to believe
When he
so,
sees
too.
Jared Hughes rumbling, bumbling, stumbling with his sprint down to the pitching mound as if that was going to do anything for him because he sucked. When Real Muto rolled his eyes, that is a prime example of a Major League Baseball player looking at another Major League Baseball player and going, we're screwed.
Right, and that's the reaction that every Philadelphia Phillies player should have if Taiwan Walker touches the mound again this regular season for the Fighting Phils.
I mean, every player felt that. Or, excuse me, every fan felt that.
Yeah,
so why
no,
can't
like
why?
everybody.
Seriously, they're humans too. When Taiwan Walker was announced as the starter on Monday for yesterday's game, I don't think there was a single Phillies fan that was okay with the decision. Everybody was upset with the decision that Taiwan Walker was starting that day. You don't think there was a player in the clubhouse, or at least 9 players in the clubhouse that said, oh, damn, really?
Dude, NBC Sports Philadelphia is on in here, and they had, Taiwan Walker stats up just a second ago.
Mm-hmm.
He's the first pitcher to go 6 innings without a strikeout for the Philadelphia Phillies since Ben Lively in 2017.
Yeah, I mean, that's bad.
What are we doing here?
Ben Lively having a resurgence this year, by the way.
Oh, hell yeah. Go
Did
Ben
you,
Lively.
did you know that?
Big Ben Lively. No.
You didn't know that?
No.
Dude, Ben Lively is 11-8 with a 3.62 ERA for the first place Cleveland Guardians
Why
this
do
year.
you know that?
Because I watch more than just the Phillies.
Yeah, well, you have too much time on
He's
your
a
hands.
starting pitcher for a first place baseball team in Cleveland right now.
Ben Lively.
Ben
Yeah.
Lively. He's better than Taijuan Walker. His ERA is 3.62.
No, I know.
That's half of Walker's.
Okay, I shouldn't have brought up Ben Lively. You're absolutely right. Ben Lively better than Taijuan Walker. So is Andrew Salciunas right now.
Who did he come from? What was the trade?
Dude, I don't know.
Come on, man.
I don't know any of these trades.
I'm pretty sure he was the Jimmy Rollins trade.
Possibly.
with the Dodgers.
Dude, I don't know any of that.
You don't.
stuff.
Come on, man. You don't know. Look, I don't know the faces that Dylan makes us try to guess.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, incorrect. He came from Cincinnati. It was the Marlon Byrd trade.
Bro, I can't tell you.
How can I mess that one up?
I couldn't tell you the trades the Phillies made at this deadline, who the prospects were. I don't know.
You still happy about your Austin Hayes?
Yeah. You had a nice hit to break up the no-hitter last night.
I think he.
You were mad at him for smiling.
Yeah. Well, I am. Oh, we'll talk about that later on.
Okay.
too. I'm not.
Bohm's not smiling enough. Austin Hayes is smiling too much.
I'm not a big Austin Hayes guy.
Good to see you, John.
All right. Wow. You like working on this show? It's time now
Love you,
for
Johnny.
today's headlines with Brendan Gunn.
Today's headlines with Connor Thomas.
What up, B Gunn? What do we
What
got?
up? All right, so we're going to start with something that is kind of close to home. It happened about probably 10 minutes from here. If you guys were to get a brand new Range Rover, most people, would put on their favorite song. They would drive down to McDonald's, their favorite restaurant, wherever they want to go.
Wendy's,
Wendy's? Exactly.
breakfast burrito.
All sorts of stuff. Yeah, any good stuff. That's what I want is the Wendy's breakfast burrito. But this couple decided they were going to go park by the Schuylkill River. Enjoy the romantic night on the beautiful Schuylkill. Until their car ended up in the road. And a police source told the reporters that they were, quote unquote, getting busy.
No, not on the road. In the water.
And it parked on the side of the road, and then it ended up in the water because they were getting a little too frisky in there, and they hit the car out of park and put it in the
They were
drive.
fornicating.
Wait, so they were hooking up in the car, and then they accidentally hit something while they were parked, and then the car rolled into the river?
Yes.
They somehow changed the gear. They went into the drive, or maybe in neutral, and maybe it was on a hill.
Oh, man, I have a joke I can't
They
make.
probably went into neutral, and this is the story I request, by the way. And the car rolled into the Schuylkill River. Like, this is a local story. If you were driving on Kelly Drive, and it happened. They went early in the morning.
Yeah, 4:27 to be exact. I got the NBC little 20-second report on it. You wanna hear it?
That's what I'm driving. Yeah, please.
Here we go.
Two people are safe after their car went into the Schuylkill this morning along Kelly Drive. Police said the car was parked when the person behind the wheel accidentally put it in drive. They got out safely, but the Range Rover ended up about 50 feet offshore and 9 feet below the surface. A tow company helped to haul the car out of the water.
I mean, that's just wild. I mean, look, we've all, I'm sure, had a moment in the car. Like, I get it. I don't know what age.
Not going to the Schuylkill, as the reporter said.
I heard that. I don't know what age the participants were.
Under 22. Gotta be.
Who's buying a Range Rover under 22?
I don't know. Maybe it's their parents.
Congratulations on your success.
Bottom line, dude, I sit weird in the car. My neck hurts. I can't imagine. Like, no.
Yeah, like,
No, I'm
there
too old
comes
for
a
that.
time where, like, that's done. Like, what? I don't think. I wonder.
Oh, what are we wondering? I don't know that you should wonder.
We
this.
got Andrew's checker coming up.
Yes, we
Is
do.
there a time where certain acts, like, you've grown out of it?
Absolutely.
Like, the car, unless it's like you're out and you meet somebody and it's just like, let's do this.
Even then, no.
I think
No.
I think the car ends at a certain age.
Car done.
Like,
no,
that's
I'm not
very,
gonna go through this.
honestly, dude,
Yes,
it's
exactly.
very high school.
That's very high school. And if you're in high school, you're not parking by the Schuylkill River trying to get it on.
Well, no, you're trying to find anywhere. You're trying to find anywhere where you think it's private. Like, we've all done
exactly.
it. We've literally all done it, right? So, like, We could be adults here. I think that it stops, like, at a certain point.
It definitely does.
You know what I mean? Like,
By the time you have your own place, no more in the car.
And
Before that, dude, like,
there becomes a time where, let's say you're staying at somebody's house and, like, a party house. Like, even that, like, you don't want to be a CB, but, like, come on, man, this is my house. Like,
Yeah,
go do that on your own territory. Like, I think that act ends at certain points of your life in terms of where it's happening.
Totally agree.
there's no insurance coverage for that. Like, you're toast. You just totaled your car.
Hey, what happened to your car? Well,
Long story.
long story.
I got railroaded, and so
All
did
right,
somebody else.
Jeez.
Jesus. See, God.
You're worried about me.
Yeah, you said something off the air.
Okay, well, we don't have to.
All right,
let's just go to Andrew
That's
DeCecco,
today's
please.
headlines with Brendan Gunn.
My goodness.
Great work, B. Gunn. All right, let's head to the Comcast Business Hotline, where every day in business is a big day. Let Comcast Business help you move forward with what's next. From Inside the Birds, and of course, here on 97.5, The Fanatic, Andrew DeCecco joins us. Andrew, do you agree, before we get into the Eagles conversation, that certain acts of fornication needs to end at certain times of your life, depending on where that act is happening?
Yes, I do agree.
Did you hear about the car rolling into the Schuylkill River yesterday?
No, you might have to explain that one to me if you have a moment.
Two adults pulled over on Kelly Drive and began the act. And as they were acting, they accidentally put their car either in neutral or drive, and it rolled into the water. So,
My answer to that would be grow up.
Well,
Good call.
Look, sex is sex, right? But, like, here's the deal. Like, there comes a time as an adult where you go, we have a house or we have an apartment. Like,
Well, you got a Range Rover.
I think that ends, like, at some point.
It is spacious. It's
Like,
better.
I don't want to sound like I'm not spontaneous, but, like, there comes a time where you go, let's just do it at the house.
Yeah, I mean, there's a time and place for everything, and certainly not on Kelly Drive. That wouldn't be a
Yeah, honestly, out of all places, what, 76 next?
Yeah,
Come
possible.
on.
Now, something that's not spacious, Andrew, is the 53-man roster
good
for
job,
the Eagles.
Connor. Way
Had
to
to
go.
cut down a little bit.
You are still the producer of the show, after all.
I'm doing my best over here. But what were your thoughts on cutdown day? Any surprises for you? The biggest roster makes, the biggest roster misses.
So the biggest surprise, and if you really want to call it that, would be James Bradbury making the 53-man roster, at least initially. You know, this is very fluid right now, but if you listen to Howie Roseman and Nick Sirianni, they were very effusive in their praise for James in terms of his leadership and versatility. But I would also say, to extend that even further, that Vic Fangio has been spoken really glowingly about James. I think he really likes his football IQ, and that goes a long way with someone like Vic. So I wouldn't be surprised if he had some input there and weighing James around. But other than that, you know, I had Tristan McCollum making my 53. I thought he did enough. I thought he had a really good summer, made that big growth from year 2 to year 3. Thomas Booker, I had him on, the defensive tackle who made it on as the 6th defensive tackle. I had him making it. Weren't really a lot of surprises other than maybe Dylan McMahon, the 6th-round center, who did not make the team.
So I also saw that they added some players to the practice squad, and I said before bringing you on that you are a great football guy, more so than most, because you are interested in the back end of the 53-man roster, and you probably break down the practice squad more than most. So looking at what they did, I was surprised they were able to bring back some of the vets, but your thoughts on some of the players they brought onto the practice squad?
Yeah, great question. I really liked Oren Burks, bringing him back. I thought that based on what he did and his body of work, he's played in 91 games. There would be a lot of teams that would see that he could still play and would try to bring him in, but the Eagles have him on the practice squad. He was probably the most talented player that got cut and did not make the Eagles. Keeping in someone like Nick Gates, the offensive lineman, who is by all accounts going to be your backup center. He's probably going to get that 3-point elevation. I think having him on standby is a good thing. They also signed a receiver from Georgia named Marcus Rosemi-Jack Saint, who a lot of people may not know this, but he was in the Senior Bowl. He doesn't run really well. He's more of a possession receiver, extremely physical, kind of like a Zach Pascal, if you guys remember him from a couple of years ago.
Yep.
But it was really between the Eagles and the Commanders, it was my understanding, after the draft, and they ended up going to the Commanders, so there was interest there. The one to me that was kind of surprising is no Josh Jove as of yet on the practice squad. It's a player who played in 28 games, 3 starts, and a really big-time special teamer. So that's something maybe to keep an eye on. They still have 3 spots to fill.
We brought up the Anaya Smith thing a couple times with the injury that occurred right before cut-down day. I'll bring it up again in case we have any new information. Does that seem weird to you, the timing?
Yeah, a tad. Considering we all saw him after the game and he seemed all right. But I will say this: that when I did speak to him after the Baltimore Ravens game, he did explain to me the road back and how that was bothering him a little bit more than a lot of folks didn't realize, and the work that it took to add strength back into his leg. And he said that he wasn't all the way recovered. Now, this is a separate thing by all accounts, because I was asking him about the stress fracture in his shin that he had that was diagnosed at the NFL scouting combine. But as you're putting together your 53-man roster and you're wondering, okay, they're not going to cut Anaya Smith, but if he's your 6th receiver and he can't help you on game day, how does he fit? That's almost burning a record. Before the 53 came out, you got this news. So I thought it was a little peculiar for me.
We're speaking to Andrew Pacheco on the Comcast Business Hotline. Andrew, we're also, reacting to what else is going on around the league. We know that CeeDee Lamb has signed his extension with the Dallas Cowboys. I didn't think any of that. I didn't think that wasn't going to happen. They would be dumb to let him go. But we're looking at the NFC East a little bit today, and I believe the Eagles are the favorites to win the division. I would like to get your thoughts on that. Is the conversation on the NFC East really that deep? Because I think a lot of people are trying to make the Commanders seem like a more formidable opponent this year.
Right. I think it's kind of cut and dry, at least based on how I view it. I think the Eagles are head and shoulders above any of the teams in their division. Mm-hmm. The Dallas Cowboys, they had so much turmoil and dysfunction even before any games have been played. You have to wonder if that's going to kind of bleed into the start of the regular season and impact them in any way. I also don't think that they have a roster that's quite ready to be compared to the Eagles. And then the Commanders and Giants, really the Commanders, they've done some really good things in the offseason, particularly in the draft. And they're trending in the right direction, but they're just not ready yet, Andrew, to make any sort of real headway in the NFC East. But I think the Eagles are the clear-cut winners of that division.
So what's the gap there if you see by the end of the season? Like, are you looking at, because Andrew's talked about a comfortable division win. Mm-hmm. Are we looking at like a 2 to 3 game gap between the Eagles and the field?
2 games. That's kind of how I was envisioning it.
A couple of good football guys, us Andrews are.
Yeah, you guys are on par.
Oh, wait, Chunas, thanks for having my back there when Ray Dunn wanted to poke fun at me for liking the preseason.
Yeah, man, look, you're a football guy. I mean that. You are, honestly, it is kind of borderline crazy, but I respect it. It's a crazy that I respect, that you are so deep into the weeds when it comes to 53-man rosters and the way, you were talking about Jalix Hunt before the Eagles drafted Jalix Hunt. All right, who knew Houston Christian players? You did.
Yeah, man, I'm all about putting in the work and leaving no stone unturned and really trying to put out that information.
That's why you're the best. Now, last thing before we let you go, we love having you on every single Thursday. We appreciate it. I have a question about the Super Bowl for you, because we have not been having Super Bowl or bust conversations. We're just not ready to go that far yet. Spoiler alert, we're probably going to do that next week as we get ready for week 1 of the regular season. But I want to ask you this. Do you feel comfortable, Andrew, saying that the Eagles have a legit shot to win the Super Bowl this year? Not that you're guaranteeing or picking them to. Do you feel comfortable saying that they have a shot to win it this year?
I'm not quite there yet. I still have some questions about the defense and how quickly a lot of the young players are going to acclimate, and moreover, what their pass rush is going to look like. How are they going to be able to manufacture that consistently? But I have no concerns, obviously, about the offense. I think that's the best group of skill players the Eagles have put together in team history. But defensively, I don't know if they're going to be able to quite, hold up their end of the bargain and play complementary football. I think they can make a conference championship game. I don't know if they're really up there, if they can really contend right now with the Detroit Lions or the San Francisco 49ers of the world.
All right, Andrew, we appreciate it, man. I kind of use you as a guinea pig because I'm going to open up that conversation to the rest of the audience coming up next. So thank you for being the guinea pig. I appreciate that.
Yeah, and I look forward to talking to you guys for the pregame show next week.
Damn right, next Friday. We can't wait to have you all, man. It's going to be an absolute blast. Love having you all on, a part of this station, not just on this show, but, obviously hearing Inside the Birds weeknights, and, of course, you doing the pregame show and everything else that you do for the station. We appreciate it. We can't wait to talk to you again next week.
Appreciate you guys. You're the best. Have a good day.
There he is, Andrew
Yeah,
Checo on the Comcast Business Hotline from inside the Birds. He is absolutely tremendous. Now, you heard me ask that question. Do you feel comfortable saying the Eagles have a strong chance to win the Super Bowl? Think about that during the break. There's a reason why I came up with that question today, because I saw an article on Fox Sports. The headline, 32 Super Dreams. Why your team has a shot to win the Super Bowl. Really. Now, of course, the article has all 32 teams, and let's face it, there are a lot of teams that will not win the Super Bowl.
Yes.
But-
31 to be exact.
Yes. But the Eagles have a very, very good chance, in my opinion. So I want to dive deep into that. Do you feel comfortable saying that the Eagles have a chance to win the Super Bowl? Not predicting that they will. It's just another spin on us having the Super Bowl or bust conversation. It's Kincade and Salciunas. We'll get into that coming up next right here, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Another Walker start and another.
Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. We'll get back to our text messages coming up on today's topics, but another topic that I want to introduce that I want you guys to be involved with. Again, the first two. What is something that we are going to look back on and say we talked too much about or did not talk enough about when it comes to the Philadelphia Eagles? Out of all the topics that you have heard during this training camp, offseason, preseason, you name it, it feels like it's been forever since the Eagles played a football game. It feels like it's been forever since the Eagles played a football game where they actually showed up to play in it, because of that whole collapse that happened last season. But what is something that you think we made too much of or not enough of this offseason? And we will look back at it at some point and talk about it. Phillies obviously on the table, reaction to Taiwan Walker. But another Eagles-related topic that I want to bring up. Do you feel comfortable saying that the Eagles have a legit chance to win the Super Bowl? Now, the reason why I asked that question is I read something on Fox that I'll read to you in a second. But when we talk about the Eagles, and it seems like we think maybe more highly of them than a lot of Eagles fans do, which to me that's topsy-turvy land because usually it's the idea that the media is negative and the fan base is positive, right? John and I and yourself have been positive about the Eagles, and we get pushback from a lot of people on the text line. So it's weird. It's like the roles have reversed all of a sudden. I find that amazing. I feel comfortable, and I'll ask both of you the same question. I feel comfortable saying the Eagles have a chance to win the Super Bowl this year. And don't give me, well, any team has a chance to win the Super Bowl, because they don't. Like, there are legitimately, I don't know, probably 5 or 6 teams that have a legit chance to win the Super Bowl this year.
I might go a little bit more, but no more than 8.
And then in the NFC, I would say 4. And that's if the Packers are the team that I think a lot of people are predicting them to be. Like Jordan Love becomes that incredible quarterback. Right now, it's Eagles, Niners, Lions. I go, hey, those 3 teams, I can feel comfortable saying that if I could make a bet, like it's one of these 3 teams. Obviously, the odds would be lower. I wouldn't get as much of a great payout because I have 3 teams to choose from. But I would think that one of those 3 teams are in the Super Bowl for the NFC.
Safe bet.
The Packers are just outside of that for me. I don't think they're going to be in the Super Bowl this year, even though they were pretty close to getting the NFC Championship game last year. So, do you feel comfortable, Connor, saying that the Eagles have a legit chance, strong chance, whatever word you want to use, to win the Super Bowl this year?
I mean, very comfortable. I don't know how you couldn't. You look at the talent level of this roster, the talent level of this coaching staff. That's all you have to go on at this point. I think Nick Sirianni stepped into the right role this year with this team. I trust Kellen Moore. I trust Vic Fangio. I trust the talent level on the offensive side of the ball to carry the team. I think that offensive-heavy teams are the ones that are most competitive in today's NFL. I think the defense has upside. I really trust Vic Fangio as a defense coordinator. I know I said that twice in there. Mm-hmm. That's because I really do. I think the coaching makes a lot of the difference on the defensive side of the ball.
Now, again, this is not us predicting anything.
No,
this is just, hey, do you feel comfortable saying it? So, Brendan, I'll ask you, do you feel comfortable saying that the Eagles have a legit chance to win the Super Bowl this year?
Oh, 100%. I'll go as far as to say we've been in the Super Bowl twice since 2017. And at that point in August in 2017, I think this Eagles team had a better shot to go to the Super Bowl than that 2017 team did. And I'll even say that about the 2022 team. The team in August, I have more faith in this Eagles team in August than I did in either of those teams to go to a Super Bowl. This offense is ridiculous. Like, I don't think there's going to be that steep of a drop-off on the offensive line. There's going to be some adjusting that has to be done with Cam Jurgens and Jalen Hurts calling out the blitz and stuff like that. But they're bringing back the motion into the offense. They're going to have the best back in Eagles history, quote unquote, for a single season. I would say could be a Saquon Barkley heading into a season. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. This offense should be top 3 in the league. If not, it's a disappointment. And the defense should be adequate enough, and it's going to help out that the offense is going to be putting up ridiculous numbers.
Now, I find it interesting. So I asked that question to Andy DiCecco when we had him on, and he said no. He does not feel comfortable saying that. Now, I get it. He is very grounded, and he is a reporter. When we had Jeff McClain on Tuesday, we had the topic about whether or not Howie Roseman believes this is a Super Bowl or bust season. He said Howie would never say that to Jeffrey Lurie, and then he kind of expanded on it, and Jeff McClain didn't seem like the Eagles are as maybe good as what we are saying. Like, he probably has them. I think he has them win the division. We'll ask Jeff next week when we start making our final predictions for the season. But just hearing Jeff McClain speak, I don't think Jeff thinks they're going to win 14 games, right?
Right, but reporters are always built to temper the expectations and look at things rationally.
Right. Now, I find this interesting. Ralph Bacchiano, who used to cover the New York Giants for a long, long time, he's now, I think, like a senior NFL reporter for Fox. Like he's like the Jeremy Fowlers at ESPN. He's Rob Motti at the Associated Press. He's now that guy who covers the entire NFL for Fox. So he did this article, 32 Super Dreams, why your team is a shot to win Super Bowl, to win the Super Bowl. And he has an explanation for all 32 teams, including the New England Patriots, who he has at the bottom. So just for context, this is what he says. When you hit rock bottom, there's always a chance of a hard bounce up, right? And the Pats hit it hard in the final year of Bill Belichick era with their worst record in 33 years and causing Robert Kraft to greenlight a total rebuild. Maybe new coach Gerard Mayo is like a young Bill Belichick, and maybe quarterback Drake May has some Tom Brady magic in him. If not, well, maybe Brady will get restless in Fox and want to put on number 12 again for the New England Patriots. That's not a legit reason, right?
No.
But he's doing it for the sake of the article. He has all 32 teams. So let's go to where it actually matters, the top 10. Now, he has the odds next to them, but he has his own ranking. So he has the Houston Texans at number 10 with plus 1,600 odds, where he has the Dallas Cowboys at number 9 at plus 1,900 odds. So Vegas disagrees with Ralph here, but he believes that the Cowboys are more likely to win the Super Bowl this year than the Houston Texans. And I imagine part of that in his reasoning is that the NFC is more open than the AFC. The AFC, look, you got Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, you also have a quarterback with more postseason experience. I know Dak hasn't done it, but you have a more veteran team there in Dallas than in Houston.
And to get to the Super Bowl, you have to beat Patrick Mahomes first, right? Or he has to be beaten by another team.
For sure.
So the Cowboys are at number 9. The Packers, he has at number 8. The Bills, he has at number 7. I think the Bills are being extremely overrated. I don't get it. Their defense got old last year. I don't think they're all of a sudden better this year. And Stephon Diggs is gone. And so is Gabriel Davis. Like, his two go-to weapons are gone.
Right. You might be right on this one. I'm a little bit. You're lower on the Bills than Josh Allen. I'm higher on the Bills.
I don't think the Bills are going to finish 7-10.
No, but like you're a little bit.
I think the Jets win that division.
Okay.
I think I said it earlier in the show.
Yeah,
I think as long as Aaron Rodgers' leg doesn't fall off again, I think the Jets win that division. I think they would have won it last year had his leg not fallen off.
Yeah.
I don't think the
possible.
Bills are that good. And if they do win the division, I don't think there's some crazy Super Bowl threat. And I do like Josh Allen more than you think, but he lost his best wide receiver. So they're at 7. He has the Bengals at 6. He has the 49ers at 5. Even though the 49ers have the second best odds to win the Super Bowl according to Vegas, he has them at 5th. At 4, he has Baltimore. At 3, he has Detroit. So he has the Eagles second. The Chiefs are obviously number 1.
Yeah, gotta be.
He has the Eagles second out of all 32 teams as to why he believes the team will win the Super Bowl. His reasoning, they were the NFL's best team through 11 weeks last season, even though at times it looked like they were barely even trying. Yeah, that 1-6 finish was terrible. But Jalen Hurts is healthy now, which is something that we've talked about a lot on the show. And the offense has been supercharged by the addition of Saquon Barkley, who is a terrific running back playing behind an awful Giants offensive line for 6 years. Again, this is coming from a guy who used to cover the Giants as his job. Now he may truly flash his Hall of Fame potential. Also, don't underestimate the additions of offensive coordinator Kellen Moore and defensive coordinator Vic Fangio, who can clean up the mess from what was a pretty terrible coaching job late last year. Any lies detected in that write-up?
No, I got no beef with any of that.
And I'm sure if he wanted to expand on it, he could say that the defense does have more talent this year and that the offense is really good and should have been better last year.
The only thing I would question in that is going to 1-6 because we still don't technically know what really happened with that team. I mean, we know the relationship between Hurts and Sirianni was whatever, but that doesn't explain an all-time collapse. So just
I think it was a big explanation.
Yeah, we know.
Because I think the defense sucked last year. They got by through 11 weeks with a really bad defense. They didn't lose 6 of the last 7 games because of the defense. It was because of the defense, but also because of everything else that happened. I'm pretty sure that Hurts and Sirianni thing was a big deal. It was the
major thing, but I don't think you can just brush it off and say, they finished 1-6.
I got you. So other than that, you like everything that he wrote. He has the Eagles number 2. So I'll ask the question once again, and I would love to get some reaction to this on the phone line and the text line coming up, as well as all of our other topics that we have on the table. I'll shut my mouth next segment. We'll get to more text messages, I promise, and a Wendy's gift card coming out the door soon, too. Do you feel comfortable saying that the Eagles have a strong chance to win the Super Bowl? I'm not asking you for a prediction. I'm not asking for you to say Super Bowl or bust. I'm not saying that you have to say, oh, the Eagles, if they don't win the Super Bowl, you got to trade Jalen Hurts. Do you just feel comfortable saying that the Eagles have a chance to win the Super Bowl? Because I do believe there are still people that are hesitant to go there. And to me, I don't get that. We'll get into it more coming up next. It's Kincade and Salciunas on this Thursday morning right here, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now, a Birds.
Now for our third $50 Wendy's gift card to go out the door. Connor, give me a number.
Let's go with 7.
Caller number 7 to the contest line, 215-263-0975 will win our third of 4 $50 Wendy's gift cards that we give away today every single Thursday. Savor the drip of Wendy's new Saucy Nugs Party Pack. 45-ish nugs slathered in honey barbecue, garlic parm, buffalo, or ghost pepper. Open till midnight or later. Participating locations only. Again, caller 7, 215-263-0975.
Got to do it for Johnny, even though he's not here.
Yes, that is the go-to number for John Kincade, caller number 7. All right, what do we have on the text line on any of our topics today? Begun. I promise I will shut my mouth this segment, except for the reaction to the text and, of course, the Wendy's gift card and the welcoming back and all that kind of stuff.
Maybe a breakfast burrito, too, in there somewhere.
Yeah. What do we got?
All right, we'll start off with our first Eagles question, and that's what do we talk too much about or too little about? We got Pete in Allentown checking in. We have talked too much about Saquon Barkley as a great running back. He is injury-prone and probably will miss some time this year. In my opinion, he is a huge bonus if he plays most games, but I'm not counting on him to be there that often.
Yeah, we really haven't talked about that much because it's not fun. Like, it's not fun. Like, you heard my crisis yesterday.
Yeah, we had the one day.
I had the crisis of the lack of depth on this team because they are very top-heavy of your 11 starters on offense and some of your starters on defense, and the depth really isn't there. But it's not fun to have. Like, I didn't enjoy myself yesterday.
Also, there's only so much you could say about it. Like, we did a show about it yesterday and the implications of it for the team, but there's only so many times you could say, well, if he gets hurt, well, if this guy goes down. Like, I don't know. Well, if this, that, and the other thing, then who knows?
Well, I did say when the roster projections came out earlier this week, this was before the Tuesday deadline. And I remember Dave Zangaro put out his 3 running backs like a lot of people were saying. Like we were saying during the pregame show. We said on Saturday before the third preseason game that they probably will only carry 3 running backs, which is
light.
It's light. It's not something you often see. Saquon, you know what you got. Will Shipley, I'm excited about, but it's still early, right? Kenneth Gainwell, I get I think he's a trusted guy for a handful of plays. I think they overused him last year, right? He gets exposed after a while. If Saquon were to go down for 4 to 6 weeks, God forbid, but to that texter's point, it's not like he's had the most healthiest of careers.
Right.
Even if it's just like a week or two. But if it's like a little bit more of an extended period of time, like if it's a month, they probably need to find somebody.
Most likely. You're not going to survive on Kenny Gainwell.
No, you can't. Like Kenneth Gainwell's not a lead back. And last year, even though he was not RB1, sometimes they acted as if he was in games. And you saw how much that struggled. The run game, using him out of the backfield unless it was garbage time and he would pick up first downs and get out of bounds quickly. Other than that, like Kenneth Gainwell is not even close to running back 1, and I don't feel comfortable with Will Shipley there. So if Saquon were to miss an extended period of time, they're probably going to be in the market either via trade or find somebody in free agency because they don't have much.
No, you just you have to. That's the option for what you do at that position if guys go to. But here's the thing: like, how many teams really have a bona fide running back 2? There's a couple out there. Like you have Gus Edwards in Baltimore, you have A-Chain and Mostert down in Miami. But how many teams are really boasting capable 2 running back backfields?
The Falcons try to.
Well,
they take
Dallas
they
thinks
take
they're
away
doing
from Bijan. Yeah, Dallas does. Yeah,
they don't know what position the Falcons don't know what position their guys play, and Dallas has 2 washed guys. Bottom line is, a lot of teams in the NFL that are competitive, if they lose their top running back, they don't have a lot behind them.
Right, but I don't think Kenneth Gainwell does anything exceptionally well. I'll compare it to the backup catcher theory that I have. To be a backup catcher, you either have to be elite defensively or elite offensively. You're not really getting anybody that does both.
Yeah, that's
which is why I hated Andrew Knapp, because the guy sucked at both, but he took up a roster spot. Garrett Stubbs.
He just got signed, by the way.
I know
not to
he
get
did.
off track.
Garrett Stubbs is a decent defensive catcher, right? Better defensively than he is offensively. If you're my second or third string running back, you got to be able to do something exceptional. Like Darren Sproles was able to continue his career because of what he was able to do catching the ball out of the backfield, right? Nobody was asking for him to run between the tackles when he was 33 years old, 34 years old.
But what were asking him to do that at 24?
That's true. But what he was able to do out of the backfield was what kept him going. I don't think Kenneth Gainwell does anything exceptionally well, except maybe pass protect.
Yeah. Like maybe early. You've seen him as part of a rotation. You haven't really fully, and hopefully we don't see him this year. I don't know. I think he's a fine running back too. I look at Kenny Gainwell and I'm like, okay, sure, you need him.
He's a fine running back too to Saquon Barkley.
Exactly. That's what you have though. Like that's the thing. And if Saquon goes down, Saquon goes down.
Yeah, but they didn't trust DeAndre Swift last year enough to have him on the field as much as they did. And then all of a sudden, Kenneth Gainwell was getting more snaps. So, that was too much.
Right, but again, we keep talking about, the last year thing that you keep bringing up. And it's not just I'm telling you not to bring up last year, but when you look at the coaching, last year there was a major difference in the way that this team is going to attack opponents this year. I look at it and you say, okay, well, you had Kenny Gainwell on the field trying to do stuff. Nobody could do anything because the offense didn't work. So I don't know, man. I just trust that they're going to put players in better position across the board, and maybe we'll see more out of Kenny Gainwell.
All right. Coming up next, Kevin Nagandi joins us to start the 9 o'clock hour. We get to more of your text messages as the show goes on, and Phillies Braves begins tonight. We'll preview the series in the 9 o'clock hour ahead as well. It's Kincade and Salciunas right here, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic.
a.m. on Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. On this beautiful Wendy's Thursday morning, Kevin Nagati will be joining us momentarily, as he does most Thursday mornings. Again, we had Andrew Pacheco on earlier today. If you want to hear that again, you can check it out on 975thefanatic.com. And later this hour, we have to preview a little Phillies Braves, because this is a major series. Now, the majority of today's conversation has been about Taijuan Walker's outing yesterday, and it not necessarily being his fault or the bat's fault, but the organization's fault for even putting him out there. When every Phillies fan in the world, it reminds me of the run the ball stuff.
Yeah.
Right? We say run the ball.
Like, we know.
They do it. It works. We say, hey, Taijuan Walker is cooked. Don't pitch him. Oh, well, we like Harvell. Hey, I don't want to do the nerd voice on Topper. Oh,
wow,
jeez.
You just did, though.
I did. Well, we were encouraged by his velocity, eh? And, like...
Good Canadian voice.
Like, well, by what? What velocity were you encouraged by?
By his velocity, eh?
Like, what were you encouraged by? And then he gets rocked yesterday. What did you expect? Let's see what Kevin Nagati has to think about. Joining us on the Comcast Business Hotline, every day in business, big day. Let Comcast Business help you move forward with what's next. From ESPN, the great Kevin Nagati joins us. Kevin, help us this morning. Good morning. How are you today?
I'll do my best. The thing that could help, I think, the entire city is a good performance tonight from Sanchez on the bump against the Braves.
And you know what? Not just a good performance by Christopher Sanchez, a starting nine, a lineup of 9 players going into a game thinking they have a chance. So a lot of we've been talking about the Taijuan Walker start yesterday, and I wanted to make this clear. I didn't rip the bats for only having 3 hits. I'm not even ripping Taijuan Walker. It's not his fault he's cooked. I'm ripping the organization for coming to terms with giving him another chance yesterday and expecting a different result than what we got.
Yeah, so there's some interpretation here. You're right. It feels like there's a certain justification, right, on the money that was spent on the contract. But it could be also with a potential day off. You're lining up a rotation that's going to be fantastic, I think, and giving an extra day off for the Braves series, right? And I completely agree with you that in a certain way, by putting out Taijuan and seeing what he's done and the history, you're basically conceding a loss, right?
Yes.
But let's not forget, you were no hit in the first 7 innings against a rookie pitcher. Like, to a certain extent, like, you got to get some offense and generate some offense. And this is the big concern that we've seen over and over again. They score 11 runs one night, the next day they just look completely lost.
But Kevin, I'll say this though. I mean, you played sports. I mean, you were steps away from playing Major League Baseball. I know you were. I know how close you were. But everybody has played, no matter what level it's been, and no matter what sport. If you see little Timmy going on the mound, you know that little Timmy stinks. But little Timmy's the coach's son. And so the coach puts his son out there, and you know he stinks. You're going out into the field with your head down. Now, imagine being a major leaguer. Like, you know Walker's on the mound. You're probably going to that game like, geez, here we go.
Tunis, you may be right about that, but I think that is applied to my 12-year-old and 10-year-old son when they go out there and like, Dad, come on, like, what are we doing? But these guys are paid millions of dollars, and they still got to be a pro. You still got to find a way, regardless, right? You still have your one-on-one at bats, right? It's not like, hey, we're doing this as a team with a quarterback, or we're doing this, as a basketball team with a point guard. You were still one-on-one with the opposing pitcher, and Taijuan Walker's nowhere on the field, right? So you still got to win those one-on-one at bats. And Topper rolled out a regular lineup. We've seen other situations where it's like, wait, you're giving this guy the day off, you're giving these guys the day off, and then you're not batting him in the 9th inning when we need something? Those are like some days where I have major issues where we're conceding and we're a little too loyal to the day off of a player. But yesterday, they got to take some responsibility. It was, again, like Austin Hayes got lucky breaking up that no-no with the way he hit that ball with Pena in the hole at short. So, to a certain extent, like, you got to hit. You got to consistently hit, and no matter who's pitching for you.
So, Kev, let's move past just yesterday specifically, because Taijuan Walker's just one piece of this team, and that was one performance. Where are you at mentally with this team? They've won 3 of 4 series now. They seem like they do have a little bit of something working compared to that slump that they were in. Are you back to the point where you believe he is playing good enough baseball, or do you still need to see more?
Got to see more. I mean, shoot, 4-game series, win the series against the Braves. That's what I want to see. Win the series against the Braves. And I think everybody wants to see that, especially what they did the previous series against the Braves. Actually hit. The offense has to wake up. I mean, they were shut down by that Braves rotation the last time they faced, and that was pretty recent. So you got to win the series against the Braves. That take 3 out of 4. Pitching staff, you've got your arms. Great sign to see Ranger back in the rotation. You still get Wheeler. Nola's coming off the phenomenal performance. Bullpen, do your job, and let's hit. You got to hit this lineup, or I should say this pitching staff that the Braves are rolling out and win the series. After this 4 games, I think I'll feel a little bit better if they win the series. You extend that lead. Now you got to go deal with the Marlins, who just never go away and for some reason always have our number. But just win this series against the Braves.
Kevin, 2-part question for you in the spirit of sports talk radio. I am looking into the future, and it could be week 6 of the NFL season, week 12, or it could even be after the season is over. What will we look back on and say, man, we made way too much of that during the offseason for the Eagles? And what is something that we'll look back on and say we didn't talk enough about that?
That is a really good question. I think the one thing we're not talking enough about is losing the presence of Jason Kelce and Fletcher Cox in that locker room, because Kelce did so many things on that line in understanding what was coming up. This is not a knock on Cam Jurgens. It's just he did so much on understanding the situation, the play calls, and where we were, what the offense is doing. You have a new offense now with the coordinator, Kellen Moore. I'd be very curious on how they handle the blitz packages now without Jason Kelce. I don't think we've talked enough about that transition of losing Kelce and the voice of Fletcher Cox on that line, because we're going to be relying a heck of a lot on those young Georgia guys, and they have to play 17 games. They can't hit the wall anymore. We can't have a phenomenal performance like we saw in the Bills game from Jordan Davis and then what happened to him. We can't have Jalen Carter all of a sudden just not be around. I think a lot of that plays a role. I think another guy is Bryce Huff, man. We haven't talked a lot about him and the impact that he potentially will have on the edge now that Hassan Reddick's not there. So I think those are 2 things that come top of mind that I haven't seen enough coverage of. A lot of coverage of Sirianni and his relationship with Jalen Hurts, and that's justified. But some of the small little things inside the locker room carried out to some of the presence that the veterans had, and we're relying on some guys that, hey, listen, I've said this repeatedly with you. Howie hit. He hit on the draft. He did all the right things on draft day. Now it's up to the players, them kind of meeting the potential that they had on draft day to the performance and expectations that they have now in year 2, year 3.
Kevin, I'm glad you brought up Howie Roseman, because we haven't talked to you since the Jahan Dotson trade, rather. And it was a move that looked like we're going all in. We need a great wide receiver 3, an excellent move by Howie. But it also says, hey, this team is basically championship or bust, right? Did you see that move that way?
Yeah, absolutely. He sees the window. He understands the window, especially when you have a mixture of young guys that are going to eventually get paid in a couple of years. He understands that I've got a little window here, 2 to 3 years, to find a way. Let's maximize everything that we have on this roster. I love the move. I actually thought that there was this move was made so Washington can get more capital in a Brandon Ayuk trade. That stuff, like, it feels like every day Brandon Ayuk is traded to like another team, and then all of a sudden he's back with the 49ers, and then all of a sudden he's not back with the 49ers. That's going back and forth. So I love the mentality that Howie has, man. We have seen this. I mean, we experienced this with Carson Wentz and Doug Peterson. We have windows, man. You guys got to win. You have to find a way. We see that in Buffalo, the ever-changing cap and the salaries going up. You've got to find a way in these windows to win and win now. 49ers are going through that right now because they've got a small window with half of their core of their offense about to walk after the 2025 season, and then Brock Purdy's payday is coming. So I think all this stuff plays in these 2 to 3 year gap windows, and I love the move.
All right, Kevin, last thing for you. For the Eagles, do you feel comfortable? I'm not asking you for a prediction, but do you feel comfortable saying that the Eagles have a legit chance to win the Super Bowl this year?
Without question. Absolutely, they have a legit chance. I think it's critical. I think it's critical, though, that this team finds a way to peak at the right time. And let's not peak, as we've experienced this, let's not peak in September and October. So I think there's patience as well that should be, out there, because that Super Bowl run, they started out hot, they hit a lull, they came back, and then they peaked at the right time with the hottest quarterback in the history of the franchise, Nick Foles, right? So there's going to be lulls here. You can't be a 10 throughout all 17, 18 weeks leading into the postseason. So I would say understand that, and they have a legit shot. When you look at the NFC and the way the NFC is shaped out, the Lions, the Niners, the Packers, who knows what we're going to get with the Cowboys, especially with their running attack and their number 2 wide receiver after CeeDee Lamb at the drop-off. I think this team has a legit chance to win the Super Bowl. Definitely getting there. The most important thing would be getting home field advantage, I think, in the postseason.
Kevin, you're the man. We appreciate it as always. We can't wait to talk to you next week, which will be day 1 of the NFL season and the day before the Eagles season. It's unbelievable. Can't believe we're here. We appreciate it as always. And real quick, Oklahoma 42.5, right?
Oh, my God. Don't do that to me, Tunis. You're a Temple Owl. Don't do listen.
I mean, come
really
on.
I believe in Stan Drayton. I believe that one game's not going to define a season. I believe that they've had a phenomenal camp. I am still holding out hope that this team, I'm always going to bleed that cherry and white with the Temple Owls and
damn
that
right,
football
man.
program. So let's just, on prime time, in front of a national audience, let's not forget that the Temple Owls still have that grit and that some fight there, and let's try and shock some people there.
Fight for the cherry and the white, Kev. For the cherry and the white, we'll fight. You're the man. We appreciate it. We'll talk to you next week.
Thank you, guys. Take care.
There he is,
Thanks,
Kevin
Kev.
Nagandi on the Comcast Business Hotline. Yeah, 42.5
Washington College would cover.
is the line there. Yeah, Kevin's being nice.
Hey, man, he's rooting for a squad. That's a little bit of loyalty.
I will say this for my fellow Temple Owl fans out there. Their win total over-under is 2.5. I believe they can hit the over.
That's a lofty
In
goal.
that conference, 2.5, man.
Yeah, they won 2 games last year.
North Texas,
They're not like
UTEP,
look.
Tulane.
I know I went to Temple. I know we're like partners with them and everything. The football team's not good, but I believe they will hit the over. All right, they're going to win more than 2.5 games, but I don't bet against my teams, so I'm not going to lay the points. But if I were to lay the points,
Oklahoma.
they're going to spank.
Oklahoma.
They're going to spank Temple tomorrow.
Probably.
Like, seriously, if you have no allegiances, which I'm the only one that does because Brendan's a Villanova fan.
So are you telling me to bet?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Buy yourself a beer at the
I'll feel
garage
bad.
afterward when Oklahoma.
I feel bad betraying Kevin Nagandi, but I will indeed. I'll take Oklahoma.
This game, I don't think is going to go too well.
Well, hey, it's all up from here.
For-
yeah.
Don't even have a quarterback.
the quarterbacks, they haven't announced the starting quarterback yet. The game's tomorrow.
Well, yeah, you're just keeping them on their toes. Competitive advantage. Nick Sirianni.
Yeah, and they took a page out of Nick
his book.
Sirianni's book. Yeah, absolutely.
Beautiful.
I did win the national title with Temple in year 2
Well, there you go.
in NCAA.
So they're due for
So
one.
that would be technically next week. So we got a shot.
Thank God for the Eagles, right?
All right, yeah, seriously. Thank you, Kevin Nagandi, for joining us. You'll be able to hear that again on 97.5thefanatic.com, just like where you can see our conversation with Andrew DeCecco. All right, what do we have on the text line, B-Gun? And then coming up at 9:30, we'll dive into this Phillies-Braves series because the Phillies did match up the rotation very, very well for this series, despite punting yesterday's game. So we'll get into some conversation and some expectations, because you just heard Kevin. He's saying the Phillies better win this series, not because of you don't want to lose that division lead. No, in terms of the matchups, you better win this series. So we'll dive into that a little bit deeper coming up at 9:30. But what do we have on the text line? I know we have a lot on Taijuan Walker still.
Yeah, we got Taijuan Walker stuff. We got Eagles conversation about their Super Bowl, so I'll start there. We got Josh from the Lehigh Valley. He says, I believe the Birds absolutely have a shot to win the Super Bowl. The talent level coupled with the youth and two very successful coordinators is an excellent recipe, not only to get to the postseason, but to be the NFL champions. With a little luck and a year of free injuries, I think it's pretty much a lock.
Yeah, I can't lock what? Lock to win or lock to have a chance?
You can't lock Super Bowl.
No, you can't. You can't.
In August.
But, again, if you're just tuning in, my question is, do you think the Eagles have a chance? Do you feel comfortable saying it? And if you don't say it, you're either a reporter like Andrew DeCecco and Jeff McClain, or you just don't seek happiness in life. Because it's okay to not predict them to win the Super Bowl, but to not say they have a chance is ridiculous.
I would say reporter or coward. Those are your two options. There's no way you can look at this team. And unless you're protecting yourself from the fear of the expectations, there's no reason why you should be in a place where you don't believe this team has a legitimate chance.
Right.
They're a top 5-6 team in football. Yeah, and that's conservative. On the upside, top 2-3 team in football. They're going to be in the conversation.
Okay, I love that. All right, what else do we have on the text line there, B-Gun?
Yeah, we got somebody chiming in. No name on this one. Someone from the 717. They're checking in, and they say, is Taijuan Walker the new Ben Simmons 2.0? Last year, Walker made it public knowledge he didn't agree with the manager's decision to not play in the postseason. Fast forward 1 year, he's dealing with injuries. He's behind Wheeler, Nola, Suarez, and Ranger.
All right.
He might have checked out because he knows he's not in the postseason this year.
I appreciate you continuing to write. That text message probably should not even been read on the air. With all due respect to the 717, but that entire area code just lost points for me.
Yeah, I mean,
how are you comparing Taijuan Walker to Ben Simmons?
It's not even close.
That doesn't even make sense. None of that made sense.
I think he was saying that he mentally checked out, but Taijuan Walker's still there, but he's not showing up because he knows he doesn't have a postseason role.
No. The fact that he did show up is already more than what Ben Simmons has done. Oh, by the way, Ben Simmons, he was at the stadium, right? Yeah. Ben Simmons didn't even want to show up. And oh, by the way, Ben Simmons was a former first overall pick that was compared to LeBron James.
That'd be like if Taijuan Walker was scared to throw a splitter. He's not scared to throw it. It stinks, but he'll throw it.
Yeah, the 717, I'm sorry if you're a 717. You lost some points there. That one text there lost you some points.
All right, we'll get a quick one from June from Yardley. Walker's trash truck juice. Shouldn't be allowed to pitch ever again. Cut him immediately and don't let him collect his checks afterwards.
Come on, it's true. He stinks.
No. Now, yes, but no. We can't. Trash truck juice. Come on.
All right. What are you going to do?
I'd rather have that on the mound, dude.
Come on, guys. No. Let's have a little decorum when it comes to the guy. He went out there and he he went out there.
I know. I told you. I respect him for taking the ball in the 5th and 6th.
So if you respect him, don't give him the trash truck juice. He has not been pitching well. We don't need the trash truck juice, the guy.
I'm honestly curious. What do they do? Because he's done.
That's the big question, right?
He's done.
What's the solution?
Michael Mercado, I'm sorry. That guy's horrible.
Yeah, it's not him.
He's another guy. The way some people talk about prospects in the city. I think he's good. He's got something. He stinks. Okay, he's another AAA guy that does not amount to anything, which is very typical with the Phillies.
What you do is you throw Colby Allard. And then
really right? Yeah,
it's got to be Colby.
Him or Tyler Phillips, and you hope for the best.
And I don't even know what Tyler Phillips has been doing down in the minors. Colby Allard has made the most recent starts. I'm looking at him. When is Spencer Turnbull coming off injury?
Well, he had a setback a couple of weeks ago.
But
so he hasn't resumed.
He initially was going to be the end of August, right? So.
Yeah. Well, by the time he's back, it's going to be next season.
Okay, I just want to double check in and see if that was.
I think here's what you do. You probably see what the matchups are because you can call. I don't know how the options work with Allard and Phillips, but I'm sure you have an abundance of them, right? There's going to come a time where you'll run out of options, but maybe you send them up and down, depending on hey, Colby Allard, the left-handed pitcher, he fares better against this team. Tyler Phillips fares better against this lineup as a right.
I mean, legitimately, you need to cover like 4 starts, and then you could bullpen game 1 or 2 if you need to, depending on rest.
But you just need to be competitive. Like, you need to have whoever's throwing out there. Like, I'm not expecting them to go out there and give you 7 strong.
No, but don't give us 10 earned
in 2 innings,
13 hits.
Right? Like 13 hits. Like, dude, 13 hits.
Yeah, dude, it's a lot of hits.
My God,
not great.
All right, coming up next on a more positive note, hopefully. We will preview the Phillies-Braves series that is coming up. It starts tonight. This is a big one. 5-game lead for the Phillies. If you get swept, that goes down to 1. That's not going to happen, but these games matter. Split, you better at least do, if not more. It's Kincade and Salciunas. We preview the series coming up next on this Wendy's Thursday morning. Also, another $50 gift card to go out the door at some point this hour, right here on 97.5 The Fanatic. I was about to credit one of our fine listeners. Big fan of the show, Ricky from Roxborough.
Oh, what do you say,
Hey,
Ricky?
Ricky from Roxborough. You could hear him coming up at 2:00 on the best show ever.
Oh.
He called me during the break to talk about the options for if Taiwan Walker's out of the rotation. Not if, right? When.
Yeah.
It's when. So you can't just like call up a guy, send down a guy, call up a guy, send down a guy. It's got to be like 10 days that they got to stay down.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
So my strategy of, all right, we like Allard in this spot. We'll call him up. We'll send Phillips down. And then we'll call up Phillips if we like him against the next team. Does not necessarily work because they got to stay down for 10 days. So
you kind of just got to pick.
So thank you to Ricky from Roxborough. You'll get a pair of FanFest tickets.
Speaking of who's going to be on the best show ever at 2 p.m., tune in for yours truly.
Yes, Connor Thomas. Yeah. We'll be looking forward to it.
This is a what this is
big drop off from Silvana to Connor.
Huge. This is a peace mission because I'm just checking in
You're
on
the one that almost ended the peace treaty yourself.
That wasn't my fault. That was a misunderstanding. Where I erased something on the board that I shouldn't have. I apologize. We moved on. Everything's all good. We're good. But I'm going to just check in and make sure things are still good later this afternoon on the best show ever.
All right. Well, I'm glad you're going to be doing that for us. Tell Ricky, we love our fans.
Okay.
For listening.
I'll let him know.
But I appreciate that for Ricky. Give me that information. So, but he also reminded me that September call-ups are coming up soon. Now the rules have changed. I'm still confused. It's really only like 2 guys now, right?
Yes, I believe
it's not like it used to be where you could call up the entire farm system.
Yes.
He believes Marchand will be probably one of the call-ups, which makes sense. You can't not call him up. Like it's almost like a respect thing where he gets called up.
Yeah, he was too good earlier, and the only reason he's not here is because Stubbs is established with the locker.
And so if you can call up 2 guys, then it's got to be, Phillips or whoever the right-handed arm is that you feel comfortable with. And then Colby Allard and Tyler Phillips, then my plan comes into play. Whoever you like against the lineup that you're facing, you have that guy start. Or you piggyback. Right, exactly. But, yeah, they have to start thinking about what they do. Let's hear from Topper, Brendan. I'm sorry, we haven't played this yet. Rob Thompson, here he is yesterday after the game being asked about Taiwan Walker and what they're going to do moving forward.
He was okay for the first couple innings, and then he lost finish in the fourth, but there wasn't a whole lot of hard contact early, but fourth there was. But to his credit, he gave us the 5th and 6th and wanted to go back out there and save the bullpen. So, yeah, it was a rough day all the way around in every aspect.
Is there a possibility that he starts again this year?
We got to discuss it.
Yeah, we got to discuss it. That's a lot different than the last answer, which was we feel great about his velocity, his uptick in velocity, and, veteran presence, and he's earned that spot. That's a bit of a different answer out of Topper.
Yeah, it's a different tune today, or yesterday. I don't know how you couldn't have a different tune after watching that absolute mess. We'll say mess.
Right.
It'll be nice.
All right, so we got the key 3 coming up, and let's preview this series. But something I heard on our overnight programming, the ESPN overnight, and I just saw the story drop on ESPN. There's something very interesting in the broadcast world coming to us soon in the NFL.
I'm not familiar with this.
Something very interesting, and I would be very pissed off if I'm a specific individual. I'll just leave it at that. That'll be after the key 3.
Now I'm intrigued.
I see. That's a radio tease, baby. All right, Phil's Braves begins tonight. Pitching matchup-wise, you have the edge, I think. Because the last time you faced these pitchers, you basically got blanked unless your name was Weston Wilson. So it's a 4-gamer. So tonight it's Charlie Morton, who is 100, going up against Christopher Sanchez, who's having a better season than Charlie Morton. So Morton versus Sanchez. Tomorrow is Ronaldo Lopez, who shut you down the last outing. And I know he's having a good year. He's having an all-star. His ERA's 2.02. He's having a tremendous season. But come on, he's Ronaldo Lopez.
He's a solid arm.
I know. Come on, man.
I got you. He's a solid arm.
He shouldn't have shut down what the Phillies did.
Fair.
All right. Like the way the Phillies only had 3 hits against him last outing.
Right. No, you're being fair, but he's not a nobody.
I know. I'm not saying he's nobody.
Okay.
It's Ronaldo Lopez versus Ranger Suarez. Then it's Max Fried versus Zach Wheeler. Wheeler gets the edge there.
Absolutely.
And then the final outing, it's the Spencer Schwellenbach versus Aaron Nola. You have the edge in 3 of the 4 starts. I give them the edge with Ronaldo Lopez because Rangers coming off of still the injury. This is only his 2nd start since coming off the IL, right?
Yes, but I disagree. I think you have the edge in all 4. I think you have the better pitchers in all 4 matchups.
Okay. And if that's the case, then there's no way you should lose this series.
No, absolutely not.
I mean, you just lost this. But here's the thing. Wasn't it Lopez v. Suarez, Fried v. Wheeler, Schwellenbach versus Nola?
No, Suarez didn't throw in that series.
That was the Royals. Sorry, he pitched against the Royals.
Yes. So
who pitched in the Braves? It was Wheeler, Nola, and then somebody else pitched in the...
I think it was Colby Allard. I don't
know.
Maybe.
Or it might have been Sanchez. But whatever.
Either way.
The Phillies lost the last series because the bats were freaking dead solid.
Sure. I think they've, yesterday notwithstanding. Yesterday, weird day, weird matchup. You had a guy that didn't throw a lot of strikes, that had a lot of strikeout stuff. He was the perfect matchup for the Philadelphia Phillies. The guy Spaghetti that threw yesterday. So I don't I understand what happened there, and you kind of could see that somewhat, not a no-hitter, but you could kind of see a weird matchup coming. I do think the bats are in a better spot approach-wise than they have been for a while.
All right. By the way, it was Wheeler, Nola, Sanchez. The one start they won was the Nola start. Sanchez was very good in his start, but the Phillies
pitching was
3
very
hits.
good.
Yeah, the whole series. Even the bullpen was tremendous.
I don't think any team scored over 3 runs in any of those games.
Correct.
Yeah.
3-1 win for the Braves, 3-2 win for the Phils, 3-2 win for the Braves. The pitching was not the problem last time. It's just the bats, and I hope you're right. I saw a lot of people on social media yesterday going, "Oh, just when everybody thought that they were back, this is what they do."
I don't know, man. When they were playing really good baseball, they had games where they were winning that they struck out 18 times.
Yeah.
Now, again, no hitter, different, but still, you're going to have those one-off games when you have an aggressive approach where you don't face the pitchers around the zone as much as you should be, and you end up looking silly sometimes. So, I don't expect that to continue.
All right. What do we got on the text line there, B-Gun? By the way, we're all in agreement, 2-2 at worst. You can't lose the series?
Yeah, absolutely. Split is worst case scenario. You should win this series.
All right. What do we got on the text line, Brendan?
Let's see. We got somebody checking in about the Birds conversation that we're having. He said, let me get back to it. If we're going on a scale of 1 to 10 on the Eagles' chances of winning the Super Bowl, I myself am confident at a 7. The offense is the fullest group that we have ever had under Sirianni, and I truthfully believe that Vic Fangio's scheme, along with the blend of established veterans and first and second round talents, that they will put a defense together that's much better than last season.
See, now I'm curious if that person can follow up. Did we have a name on that text? I didn't hear
Scott in Florida.
Scott. If Scott could follow up, so he says 7. Is there any teams where he has higher on a scale of 1 to 10? Obviously, the Chiefs, I imagine, would probably be the highest on his scale, right?
Got to be.
It's the highest on my scale, right?
Dynasty.
But then the other teams, do the Lions have more of a chance than the Eagles are, or are they about the same?
They're even at best.
Tier.
I don't look at the Lions as a better chance. I think they're at best even with the Eagles.
Andrew DeCecco was the Eagles are not where the Lions are. Did you hear him say that?
Yeah.
He said comfortably the 49ers and the Lions are ahead of the Eagles. He said that with conviction.
And I don't agree with that. I'm sorry, but I think this team with Kellen Moore's offense is going to be a juggernaut, and I think the defense is going to just have to tread water, and I think that's going to be
But here's the thing,
enough.
that the Lions defense is not a tread water defense.
Okay, that's fine.
The Lions defense is actually, I'm not going to say they're elite.
The Lions offense is a lot of guys that are kind of iffy guys. High ceiling guys.
Dude.
But
Amon-Ra St. Brown is not iffy.
No, I know he's not.
That dude's a stud.
I know he's not.
I'm pretty sure
But
Sam
Their
Laporta-
line's one of the best in the NFL.
Yeah,
They've got a good
Might
line.
be better than the Eagles line.
They've got a good line.
I'm pretty sure
Jameson Williams is coasting off of his college career.
Yeah, we'll see who he is.
Sam
Yeah.
Laporta is still he's a good tight end with a high ceiling.
He's done more. He's had a better season than Goddard has.
Yeah,
He has.
in
He
his
was
rookie
still
year.
young. Jameer Gibbs, young. David Montgomery, that dude could be washed this year. He scored a lot of their touchdowns. I don't know. I look at and Jared Goff, would it surprise anybody if Jared Goff goes out and throws 20 interceptions this year? If he just completely completely soiled
yes,
himself?
That would surprise me because let me look it up. I don't think he's like an interception machine. There's just times where he's not throwing that many touchdown passes.
Maybe not 20, but
the difference between the Lions and Eagles in my mind is I can trust the Eagles to skate by in the regular season. Can I trust them to skate by going against the Lions, the 49ers, maybe the Packers and the Kansas City Chiefs all in a row? Can that defense put 4 great games together, or is the offense going to have to score 40 points in every single one of them?
Right, and here's the one thing to your point about Jared Goff. So last year he threw 12 picks. Before that it was 7. Before that it was 8. Like, he's not a turnover machine. He thought he was going to lose his offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
He's got him for another year.
Yeah, listen.
Like, that's a big. We made a big deal of Brian Johnson. Well, he's been here, so hopefully he knows the offense. Clearly there was a big fall off.
I got you.
He's got his future head coach candidate still as an offense coordinator.
Okay. Tough division.
That's why I don't think they take a step back.
Kind of a tough
That's
division.
the one thing that me and John, I don't see well, not the one thing, but I don't see eye to eye on that one with John when it comes to the Lions.
I'm more with Johnny there. I don't think they're I think they're comparable to the Eagles, if not slightly behind.
Okay. He said Jahmyr Gibbs is young. That might be a good thing for him.
I mean, it could be.
He's got fresh legs.
But also,
which helps David Montgomery out.
I'm not a see 1 year and believe in the guy. I'm a see 1 year and believe in the ceiling, but we'll see.
Okay. All right, coming up next, we got the Key 3 and a fascinating story that's going to be coming your way in the NFL. And if I'm one person, I'm pissed off. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now is the time to become a Fanatic MVP. Go right now to 975 The Fanatic.
Salciunas Key 3.
Now, the Kincade Salciunas Key 3. Today's best.
All right, I need the Phillies to answer this question for me. Are you ready to be serious again? We start there. And then, of course, the Eagles. I want to ask a question about the Eagles. What will we look back on that we made too much of or not enough of? I'll explain more, but we start the Phillies on Kincade Salciunas 97.5 The Fanatic. Taijuan Walker pitched yet again for the Philadelphia Phillies. I wish I didn't have to come in here today and not show up, just like the Phillies didn't show up yesterday. But you know what? I can't blame the order. I can't. You know why I can't blame the order? And I had a couple people tweeting at me, oh, is it really just Walker to blame today? The Phillies have been no hit through 7 innings. You know why? Because they woke up that morning and were supposed to lie to themselves when they looked in the mirror, brushing their teeth, saying, hey, I'm going to play hard today because we have a chance to win. Seriously, I understand after the game, Rob Thompson finally came to terms with realizing maybe Taijuan Walker just ain't it. It took you a while. But it seems like he finally came to terms by saying, we need to figure that part out of the rotation. We need to figure that out. Which part was it, though? Was it hit number 1, 2, 3, or 13 yesterday? It is embarrassing putting this guy out there at this point. It's embarrassing for the organization. It's horrible for fans that attend. You know what? It's horrible for Taijuan Walker.
I really think, like, my gut feeling, the first place I go is something we didn't make enough of.
Okay.
The change at center with Jason Kelce. Like, I know John's argument that he makes every time we have this. John Kincade, who normally sits in this chair, makes the argument, how many centers can you name in the NFL?
Right. Yeah.
And they're not, like, premier level star players and all this. It's a valid argument. It is. But at the end of the day, I can't imagine that you're looking at an all-pro, all-time Eagle, first ballot Hall of Fame lock player in Jason Kelce retiring. And even if he handpicked Cam Jurgens, I can't imagine it's as seamless of a transition as I think we're expecting.
I don't think Bryce Harper set the tone. The tone was set 3 days ago now, but 2 days ago yesterday, when Rob Thompson announced that Taijuan Walker was going to be on the mound yesterday afternoon. That's when the tone was set for Wednesday's game. The tone was not set for Bryce Harper and his lazy attitude. Look, he deserves to be blamed. Like, that can't happen. Whether it's Taijuan Walker on the mound or Zach Wheeler, stuff like that can't happen. But I can't sit here today and say Bryce Harper is the reason why they lost 10-0. The offense is the reason why they lost 10-0. No, it was the manager's decision or the GM's decision or the owner's decision, whoever's decision it was to start Taijuan Walker yesterday. That was the reason why they came out with a lackluster attitude, with zero energy. You knew they were going to lose that ball game, right? Enough with this. And I know there's going to be people that are going to do this all day long. I saw it yesterday on social media. Oh, you're blaming Taijuan Walker? How about the offense gets a hit? Yeah, that would be great. How about the offense knows going into a game that they have a chance of actually freaking winning a baseball game?
And also, like, the offense hasn't done this 9 games in a row. Taijuan Walker has done this 9 starts in a row. This is not a continuing issue with the offense of like, they're getting almost no hit every game. They scored 22 runs in 2 games 2 games ago.
And by the way, they won this series.
Yeah, so it's not, the offense had a bad day. Taijuan Walker has had a bad year, and he needs to not be given the opportunity to make it work.
People are going to look to blame other people. It's unbelievable. Just blame the guy that's cooked, okay? All right, that's the Kincade Salciunas Key 3 best minutes from today's show. Caller number 2 to the contest line, 215-263-0975. We'll win our fourth and final $50 Wendy's gift card. Savor the drip of Wendy's Saucy Nugs. Party pack, 45-ish nugs slathered in honey barbecue, garlic parm, buffalo, or ghost pepper. Open till midnight or later. Participating locations only. Caller number 2, 215-263-0975.
Love the slathered word. Any food slathered in something, it's for me.
Going to be good.
Hell yeah.
All right, real quick, before we get out of here, Mike Missanelli show coming your way at 10 o'clock with Bill and Ray. So Tom Brady is trying to become a part owner of the Raiders.
Yes.
And it's being voted on, I think, this week. Remember, he's going to be the lead color analyst for Fox.
Is that not conflict of interest?
It is.
Okay.
So if he does become a part owner, he is going to call the games with no knowledge of anything else. He's not allowed to sit in the coaches' meetings. He's not allowed to speak with players. He's not allowed to do anything.
What? So he's just going to blind call the games?
He's going to show up Sundays at 4:25.
Bro, that's awesome.
For him, yeah. If you're Greg Olson and you grinded, man, you were on fourth teams, third teams, did college, did all kinds of stuff, and you were the one team with Kevin Burkhardt for like a year or 2 years or whatever, and you got kicked to the curb, and I get why. Like, I get the name, right? It's a no-brainer hire for Fox. Remember, NBC tried hiring Drew Brees without even hearing a sample tape, and he ended up sucking. He was horrible, but at least they tried. Tom Brady's a name. You get the draw there. But it's one thing if you think he's going to be good or not. It's another if he can't even study it.
Bro, I can't show and go for a round of golf. He's going to show and go for an NFL primetime broadcast.
He's collecting $500 million or whatever it is to literally not do the job. He gets to show up and talk for 2 hours.
And
he is doing the job.
And we're seeing
the
this
hard part of
we're
the
seeing
job.
this with Tony Romo. Tony Romo, the first couple of years out of the league, was able to predict the plays nonstop.
Yeah.
He's now missing them. Why? Because he's not in the league anymore.
Right. Things change.
But he still knows things because he talks to the players and the coaches and the GMs and the owners. Once Brady's knowledge of the league is gone in like a year or two, dude, I don't know if he can do the job.
Well, he could have someone like do the research for him, right? Talk to people, get him some notes where he doesn't actually interact with people.
Well, that's the other thing. I wonder what notes he can get.
Well, I imagine from Tom Brady's track record, he'll be able to track down some information on teams and
That's a good
circumvent
point.
this some way.
But like that can't be in an email because then he could email it to the Raiders. Hey,
What do you mean? He'll just destroy his cell phone. This is easy. I've got an answer to all these things.
Yeah, you're right. I find it amazing, and that's a major conflict of interest. And I wonder if there's anything that somehow ends it. Like, is Greg Olson ready to go?
Maybe he's waiting in the wings. You think so?
Like, there's more to being the color analyst than I think a lot of people realize because of all the meetings. Like, we try to book guests all the time. The guy that's going to be on the broadcast. Oh, sorry, I can't. I'm meeting with the road team tomorrow, and then I'm meeting with the home team today. Like,
the coach,
I
big
can't.
players,
do it. Yeah, like
all the people.
there's a lot that goes into a broadcast. They don't just show up and say, "Oh, that was a nice throw there."
Unless you're Tom Brady.
Well, yeah. All right, that'll do it for today. Go ahead.
All right. Well, remember to support life-saving cancer research. Join me and our generous partners, FT Young Heating and Air Conditioning, in making a donation to the American Association for Cancer Research today at 975thefanatic.com/AACR. Cancer research saves lives.
All right, everybody have a great rest of your day. We'll be back at it tomorrow. 1 week away from the Eagles' start to the season tomorrow. Oh, my God.